Yo. In the days of old, 5 elements were known. MCing, DJing, graffiti had grown. B-boy and knowledge, the pillars of the game. But a 6th emerged, adding to the flame. Comics and hip-hop, a fusion so tight. Visual storytelling, lyrics that ignite. From the pages to the beats, a seamless blend. The 6th element, where 2 worlds transcend.
Welcome to the 6th Element Show, where comics and hip-hop flow. Reno and Stu guided the way, bringing you the culture every day. Welcome to the 6th Element Show, where comics and hip-hop flow. Reno and Stu.
What up, y'all? Welcome to the 6th Element. It is the 6th Element collectible, 6th Element of hip-hop show. We got a good one tonight, man. Do we ever? A lot of good stuff going on tonight, bro. Oh, my God. Talking about Lobo, Supergirl, Kyle Rayner, Superman vs. Spider-Man, R-rated DC movies, a new DCU Superman trailer, and a meme about a beef that a college student began with a project between Nas and Jim Jones. We're going to get into it. We're going to break it all down as we do. But let me get a sip of water. Patiently awaiting any guests that may arrive. There it is. Hang on, let me turn this headset off. I don't know why that's on. All right. Let's bust it off. Let's just go right into it, man. Let's just get right into it. Sorry about the little delay there. Let's get right into it. Superman new trailer. 30-second spot, a little teaser that they put out one more time before the movie next month, getting audiences ready for one of the most marketed, heavily promoted movies of the summer. While the previous trailers for James Gunn's latest film focused on the action that we'll see, this new kind of teaser kind of allows Clark Kent to talk and get a little monologue going and talk about his strengths and who he feels he is. But flying and having strength to bring the cities down, can be useful when fighting against villains. But even if those powers sound appealing, Superman believes in his humanity, that's his biggest asset. And this new teaser for Superman kind of features some shots that have been seen in previous trailers. Of course, they're not giving us nothing new per se, except for this monologue, but Lois Lane having a little emotional conversation with Clark. You have Lex Luthor that we really get to hear kind of do a little villain monologuing a little bit there as well, kind of exploring the mysterious Fortress of Solitude a little bit, but something that allows this teaser to stand out from what Warner Brothers has allowed fans to see already are the flying sequences. So that we see Superman flying around, Clark Kent soaring through the sky in this exciting adventure will attempt to launch a new franchise for the big screen and basically bring DC back from the bottom of the toilet. But the reception Superman trailers have been met with online was confirmed to be valuable information for Warner Brothers because James Gunn recently revealed that a shot from the movie was cut from the finished project after fans complained about it on the internet. The shot was showing Clark Kent flying across the sky with the camera following his point of view. And I really dug that scene. I hate that fans made them take it out because you didn't know what you were looking at. Can the comments related to the new teaser for the Superman trailer affect the final cut of the movie? I don't know, but the screeners, the screeners where they've had people come in and test screen and watch the movie, they actually changed quite a bit. The whole movie layout format was in an episodic nature where it was shown like a title screen that said Monday, and then you got to see some movie, then a title screen that said Tuesday, and then some more movie Wednesday, and so on. And would have been interesting, would have been something episodic, feeling comic booky. So that's why James Gunn was doing it. I would have been fine with it, but casual morons cried, and Gunn took it away. Now, Gunn took the challenge of directing this movie after developing the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy for Marvel and just completely killing it. And after closing off the journey of Star-Lord and his family in the MCU, Gunn was recruited by Warner Brothers alongside Peter Safran to develop a new DC universe across film, television, video games, the whole medium gamut. And Superman will be the first theatrical release. Of course, it's DC's. I'm not gonna say it's DC's. It's definitely not DC's biggest character. We all know that's Batman. True fact. But it might be their flagship character, right? Their golden boy, if you will. And so cool, whatever. But Superman is introducing Krypto, the Man of Steel's friendly pet dog, who shares some of his abilities. And then James Gunn recently stated that Rocket made the world ready for Krypto, meaning that the raccoon voiced by Bradley Cooper in MCU set the stage for a powerful dog to save the world. And I guess Cosmo would have been the first powerful dog that we got to see, but Krypto, we'll give it to him. James Gunn will tackle the comic book adaptation genre once again, thanks to Superman as one of Warner Brothers' biggest brand attempts to return to the center of pop culture. The conversation, but without further ado, let's check it out. Let's bust it out. Let's see. Let's put it on the screen. Oh, got a new poster too, by the way, while I'm setting that up. The inspired by Richard Donner's Superman there. And that's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. It kind of paying tribute to Richard Donner's 78 movie, blending the nostalgia with this sort of bold new vision for Superman's cinematic return. Excitement is building definitely for this movie, Summer of Superman, that DC is calling it, because there'll be multiple Superman projects coming out. Gunn also confirms no more Superman or Batman origin stories for DC Studios future films. No DCU origin movies for the big characters. Sure, there'll be some origins for lesser known characters. It's necessary, and I think it's awesome. But we don't need to see pearls bouncing across the floor anymore for Batman. And we all know where Superman came from. But with less than a month to go, James Gunn and Corn Sweat, Rachel Brosnahan, Nicholas Hoult, the whole gang, the Summer of Superman heating up. But for this go round, we've got something extra special. We've been big fans of the key art posters, so this is pretty cool. But I think I've got the trailer keyed up. Here it is. All right, queued up for you guys. For you, Guy. Where's everybody at? We do this every week, guys. All right, bung. So, I can't get full screen. You know what? Nah, we're not doing that. We're going full screen. The fans deserve it. We're going full screen, baby. That ain't it. Okay, so what? It's not up here? All right, yeah, because I never really watched it. That's the case. All right. We'll do Superman. It's how you gonna look it up. Superman strength. That's what they're calling it. Let's jump on to, it doesn't really matter. Oh, it's DC. Yeah, let's go right to DC. We got to go to the source. We got to give them their due. Lex Luthor, he says, they always been wrong about me. He said, I get scared, but that's being human. It's my greatest strength. I really thought that was Lex Luthor. My bad. Thought that was Nicholas Hoult. I'm not familiar with Corn Sweat's voice. I feel like an ass now. This is my first time watching it with you guys live. I just premised it. All right, so his whole deal is he's talking about his humanity. He loves he's a human. We all know he's not a human, but that's what he's talking about. His humanity. You know, you don't have to be human to have humanity, right? Now check this out. This is this is Metamorpho's hand. You see that bit of kryptonite there that's pushing Superman down. That's Metamorpho's hand. He sort of creates any element that he wants, including kryptonite, with his body. But he's not a villain. So here's the weird thing. So yeah, we're gonna see why he's doing this to Superman. What does Lex have on him? Is he mind controlling him? Is he just like controlling him? Does he have his family hostage? Like, what's going on? So we'll see. Yeah, there you go. You can check that out on the DC's channel right there. But yeah, that is the new 30-second spot rather that they put out. This is the last one, guys. Trust me, they're not going to be any more teasers or anything. We don't have much more to go. And honestly, do we really want any more? Superman clip giving DCU fans Smallville vibes. What fans are saying about the clip. It's sort of, I guess it debuted on the Kelly Clarkson show. Yeah, I might have a treat. Okay, I got a little treat, guys. This is something totally not that, and we're gonna check it out. This is a little bit of a scene from the movie. On the show. Kelly Clarkson.
Social media lately.
I don't read that stuff. Superman doesn't have time for selfies.
Third person. You're referring to yourself in third person?
Okay, this is the same monologue that we saw before. I guess they just, what are they?
You have to say off the record beforehand.
Yeah, we saw this. We saw that. Kelly Clarkson. It's not a new clip. We saw that already. Okay, so James Gunn reveals the new. This is what I really can't wait to talk about. The new Lobo and Krem Supergirl details, talks Kyle Rayner and Constantine in the DCU. The DCU kicked off with Creature Commandos. We all know we got Superman and Peacemaker coming down, but there's a lot of stuff that we don't, haven't been, obviously we talked about Lanterns, Supergirl, the rated R movie Clayface, but all that we know. In the new DC Showcase interview, Gunn heaped praise on the Supergirl helmer, Craig Gillespie. He said, Craig is such a joy to work with. I was really excited to go work with him. He's been just a dream in terms of collaborating, fighting for his ground. When you have an idea you believe, you really fight for it. And Gunn was asked about casting Millie Alcock for the Maiden of Might Supergirl, and shared, he said, I wanted her to be this little pixie-ish but very attitudinal character. And Millie was the first person that I brought up. And that's, perfect casting right there. I think Millie Alcock should play Magic in the X-Men. Just throwing it out there. Gunn later credited Gillespie with amping up, he said, the villainous Krem of the Yellow Hills, the guy that's playing him. But the character is from the comics, from Supergirl, Women of Tomorrow. That's the comic book that it's based on. But the title of the movie has now changed from Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow to just Supergirl. And that's not because they're not adapting the comic or because they decided to, stray from it so far they couldn't keep the title. It's simply because Gunn wants, he said he's tired of the superhero : and then a phrase titles, right? He just wants something simple. And, he dropped the legacy from Superman for various reasons. And now he dropped this. It's just Supergirl, Superman, bang. He said, dude, wait till you see how scary he is in the movie. He teased, reiterating that Matthias Schoenert's Krem is scary, creepy, and cool in the role. And but yes, Aquaman star Jason Momoa joins the DCU as a very different character in this movie. The Scourge of the Cosmos, Lobo. The expectation is that the DCEU's Arthur Curry could eventually appear in a solo project, but for Gunn, Lobo was key to cracking this adaptation. And you know, you gotta stick to the comic book. And man, Momoa is the perfect casting, and apparently it's a role that he's always wanted to do, which is really cool. I love to hear that. But he said the comic is very much a bunch of little stories. He said we needed to create one through line, one 3-act story. So Lobo helps us do that. And one of the hosts told Gunn that his favorite DCU characters are Kyle Rayner and John Constantine, but Mr. Miracle as well. And we're actually getting a Mr. Miracle animated series, rated R joint. So that's very interesting and sounds really cool. And then Superman, Gunn, call him Superman. He loves Hellblazer. And the Constantine comic, it's called Hellblazer. He's less keen on Kyle, though. Not a big Kyle Rayner fan, James Gunn. But he does. He's got plenty of Green Lanterns. He said, but I do like all 3 of those characters. He said the second 2 I'm a way bigger fan of. He admitted, he said, I've been online enough to know everyone has their favorite Green Lantern. I'm a guy, right? So there you go, Guy Gardner. And Gunn added that Constantine, he said, I'm actually a pretty huge fan of. I read every Hellblazer comic as it was coming out. He's a great character, and I like that approach to magic where it's not too overwhelming and, he's too powerful. Every time I hear shit like this, bro, it just makes me more excited for the DCU. Because it reiterates, it just confirms that this guy making all this stuff, the guy that's heading, DC right now, is a comic nerd just like us. He literally reads comics. Like he's not a fake fan or just a so-called fan of a character that he's never actually read a comic but this guy is literally, a collector. He's a reader. This is who I want making my comic movies, right? I don't want someone who's never read a comic and who's not a fan of the content. Like, Disney and Marvel has some really twisted ideas of how to adapt some shit. Like, having people who don't know shit about it do the adapting. I don't get the appeal there. They seem to pretend or act like it's because they want to get a fresh new take, but honestly, we know it's because they don't want to pay the guy who actually created it. But yeah, Swamp Thing. So excited for Swamp Thing. It would be a good fit for John, Constantine, to hop into Swamp Thing. Absolutely amazing collab there, because one thing and another thing about the comics, another thing about Gunn is there's lots of superheroes, and say it's just because it's a Swamp Thing story doesn't mean there's not going to be other characters. And unlike Superman films of the past, just because it's a Superman movie or comic does not mean it's just going to be Superman in there. So that's what's cool about it. That's what's appealing to me, since pre-Man of Steel, I didn't really care for Superman movies, especially like the first one. Okay, the second one, especially 1 and 2, Donner, when I was a little kid, great. Not much after. And then Man of Steel came out, and I just completely changed my mind on what Superman could be. I thought he could just be this corny Boy Scout, infallible, boring ass Superman superhero. Superhero. Come on, bro. Who cares? Like Batman all day, right? Man of Steel showed that he could actually be cool, and super fans of the character didn't really dig it because it's different than the status quo, but that's what the people who liked it liked about it. So it just, the rest of the DCEU was trash, so that's why I just never went anywhere. But yeah, man, you can watch the full interview online with Gunn. And
I do have a good superhero
on DC Studios Showcase Official Podcast, episode 15. Check it out, James Gunn. It's about hour and 11 minutes or so. Let me see if we can show you a clip. That's a good idea, actually. Check this out.
So we're gonna have to get a word if me or Koi nerd out too much. What's our break word?
Yeah, what's our like we're embarrassing ourselves for?
How about just you guys are embarrassing yourself?
Don't koi it up right now.
Don't Koi it up.
Default line, that's fair. No, you're on.
That beans are bad.
Here we go.
Well,
There, we'll just watch this little
I'm
clip.
glad you brought up Superman because we want to talk about all of your upcoming projects. There's Superman, Peacemaker season 2. We have Clayface, Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow,
Yeah.
and the Lantern story.
Yes.
Is there a connective tissue between all of those projects?
I mean, they're all in the same universe. So there's that. You know, I think what's one of the interesting things is like how Rick Flag, Frank Grillo,
Mm-hmm.
he's in Creature Commandos. He's kind of the protagonist.
Oh, we love
For a while.
Rick Flag.
reason. Yeah, so he's kind of a hero. Then you see him in Superman. He starts to change a little bit. He's a little bit different, and then he's pretty bad. He's not the best guy in the world.
I'm really getting
And Peacemaker,
by really change your outlook.
So I think I think you see it. Like what's great is that Frank is this just really wonderful actor. We have a fun time hanging out and working together. Even though he tells me that beans are bad, I like to eat beans a lot, and Frank tells me that beans are bad for you because he only eats like meat and something else.
Or
Like what?
yeah.
Yeah, it's whatever he eats is crazy. He eats only meat and mushrooms or something. I don't know what, but he tells me beans are great for you. Like they're in the blue zones. Like that. Yeah, beans. I love beans, and I'll get text from Frank at 6:30 in the morning with some article about how beans are bad for me.
I love that he's thinking about this like offset, like 3 movies together, just that's the through line, just like connecting all these dots.
We argue. We argue. And Cena's on my side, by the way, so it's me and Cena. Anyway, as you can tell from this bean story, he's a super.
So yeah, pretty cool. Importance of character consistency.
One of the fun things to me is,
I'm very curious about, you talk about, obviously you're going to have a lot of these characters in different films, and Frank Grillo's character, for example. What is it like to kind of maintain or not maintain like a character's tone? Like when you see someone in Creature Commandos go into Superman and be a very different character when the audience expects, do you get nervous about the audience accepting that change? Or is that part of the process?
I think it's part of the fun.
Yeah.
So I think that, there are certain things, and I was like this during, when I worked at Marvel, I was really, I would get scripts with Rocket in them that didn't match how, I understood that character was my soul, So I would, always make sure that his voice always made sense, that what he did always made sense. And I do that with the characters in DC across all the films and television shows. They got to be true to, the character, especially if it's characters I originated on film.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, for instance, one of the fun things to me is, it is an animated show, Creature Commandos. So, Rick Flag Jr. Sr. is a little bit different. He's a little bit more grounded than Superman, but it's also a big, huge, splashy spectacle. So that's different than Peacemaker. There's actually a few characters from Superman that are in Peacemaker. And it was so wild to me to direct those actors because just the different subtle style in writing of the show it is grittier. It is more grounded. It is all these things when you're filming these same characters, same actors in a totally different type of situation and role that's much more based around character than it is around plot. there's a totally different vibe to it,
Right.
and it's fascinating for me. Watching characters change like that is just fascinating.
What is it like?
That's really interesting because we thought that all the characters and everything in the DCU were just going to just be the same across all mediums, and which is an interesting concept in and of itself, but this is definitely a unique way of doing it, so it doesn't get boring and stale, and it doesn't seem like you're just making one big giant movie. So they're all very different projects with the same characters, but the characters are a little different in what's going on around them. Is how what's going on around them affects them, and like you said, the style, just the style of the writing and directing.
To kind of work with the actors on kind of different takes on the same.
Well, that was the weird thing is I didn't say anything to the actors. They had the script. They came in. There's one, big character in Superman. It's a big, scene in Peacemaker, and that person, came in, and I didn't say anything. It was different because the vibe of everything is different. The lighting is different. The shots are different. The way we shoot it is different. The dialogue, of course, is different. So it was a really fun thing to see, and that's what I want to continue to bring to the DCU as a whole, is to be able to create stories that work individually, but have these characters and people continue from one story to the next and be able to see them in a totally different light.
Yeah, but like,
one of the shows I loved growing up was, you saw the Mary Tyler Moore show. I don't know if you guys you're all probably too, but did you ever see Lou Grant, the sequel?
I never saw it, but I know of it.
So Mary Tyler Moore show is a situation comedy.
Right, and that was like an hour-long drama.
And that was an hour-long drama, a serious, journalistic newspaper story. I mean, it seemed very serious to me as a kid. I never saw it when I was older than 5.
The contemporary version of that is Just Like That, which is like a completely different tone
than Sex and the City. Okay.
It's an hour long. It's still funny, but it's kind of
it's way more serious.
So but I mean, I think that's I love that as a kid, seeing that character in 2 different places and totally different genres. That concept is always really
it's like the CW verse. I don't know if you know this. I'm one of the biggest CW verse fans. But it's like that. Like, you start off with Arrow, and then the Flash comes on Arrow, and he starts to.
Yeah, but the thing is, those shows were tonally very similar.
You think so? Legends of Tomorrow was very tonally different than Arrow.
It was, but also kind of totally different. Like in the same way, Guardians is totally different from the other stuff.
And Marvel. I see what you're saying. It's like
the difference between that and then Lou Grant and Mary. One is a 3 can't people. There was a sound. People are laughing. There's an audience laugh. It's like if I don't know who's a character from Big. You probably watch Big Bang Theory.
That's it. Wow.
Okay.
Mike Pilata.
Okay. Who's the character? It's as if there was a deadly serious shit.
Okay.
If the one of the people, I don't know who those.
Oh, it's like
Gary Cuoco's character went, and she was like in a gritty. Drama.
Yeah. If Kaylee Cuoco's character went on to do Law and Order SVU, like she becomes the new detective from the streets of Pasadena. It's like totally different.
Okay, I get what you're saying. I was saying Kevin could F himself. It's a show where it starts and they say, okay, I got it. But you were talking about Superman. We have so many questions about Superman.
Okay.
The biggest one is, how did you decide
what happens at the end?
Yes, that. Let's start with that. What is the ending of the Superman? Oh, I think you're gonna talk about it.
Oh, totally. That's gonna happen.
And then you turn up the party.
Well, she a little slow.
Okay.
I think Superman's one of the hardest characters to crack. I think Superman, like I said, there's a wholeness.
Well, you said we had a conversation 40 years ago that I don't recall.
Yeah, like a decade.
I think you're making it up.
I don't photo Chris. Read Chris as a judge. But I think that Superman is so hard to crack, and you talked about how there was a moment that shifted for you.
I think this is really this is, but that proves that I've been thinking about
for years.
I've been before I do Superman.
Literally a birthday party, you and I were talking comics, and Superman was something we were both saying that is so difficult, he's so specific, and there's a moment of light switch, at least for me. For me, it was Superboy and Con-El. My in was through Con-El, and Con-El making sense made Superman make sense as I grew into the character, and then Superman, like the Tim Sale art, like I suddenly got the Americana.
Yes.
And then as I evolved into the John Byrne stuff, I got how he was more human. And
Yes.
for me, it's always been a progression of as I get older, I find new inlays to the character, and he gets more colorful, he gets more vibrant. And I know you mentioned your father and stuff that made you go, this is something that I'm in now. So I'd love to know, without spoilers for the film, what was your eureka moment where you felt connected enough that you wanted the responsibility of that cape?
It was the tone of All-Star Superman, not the story, because we're not adaptation. We're not adapting All-Star Superman, but the tone of All-Star Superman. That sort of, jerky Lex and the vain jerky Lex, and then the Superman that's really like just as.
Let's take note there, children. We're not adapting All-Star Superman. So don't look for the story to be All-Star Superman. We're talking tone, baby.
Good jaw forward, like big, bulky guy.
Yeah.
And then the wild, 50s science fiction taken in a slightly dark, way. I mean, that to me was like, oh, that if we could do that in a movie, that would be wild.
Hell yeah.
And so that was part of it. But for me, like, I couldn't crack the story. I mean, I've talked about this a little bit until my stupid dog that I got, This is totally true. I mean, it's like I was working. I knew I was going to try to write Superman. This was before I even had the job at DC. I decided to finally tackle it because I was offered Superman back before Suicide Squad, but I took Suicide Squad instead because I was scared. And so I finally said, okay, I'm going to try it. Peter and I talked about it. He was going to produce. I was going to direct. And I started trying to play with all these ideas. And it was hard, read a lot of the comics, there's so many great comics. I mean, and then great individual comics, and from the John Byrne period, from the New 52 period, Superman in blue jeans and then, it's so cool. But it wasn't until I got I got my dog. So I adopted this dog. He was raised in a backyard with 60 other dogs, and he was in a hoarding situation. He didn't know human beings at all. I went to the rescue place to look at the dogs, and he was just sitting in literally a pile of dogs. He didn't want anything to do with me, but I thought he looked funny because of the ear. And so I guess the part of me that likes funny dogs was like, I want the one with the stupid ear because his one ear sticks up like this. And I brought him home. He wouldn't let my wife or I touch him. He spent all the time with our other dog, who he just was connected to. And then he proceeded to ruin everything in my house.
Straight up, I rescued a dog just the same way. Dog that came from a messed up situation like that. No, like almost feral. Luckily, it was only, she had been like maybe 4 months old, 5 months, something like that. Not that old. And but yeah, she's now a straight up companion, like wolf pack shit. You know what I mean? Like straight up wolf pack shit, bro. It's dope if you can domesticate a feral dog, because dogs are domesticated. It's hard to make a dog feral, but yeah, little detour there.
He destroyed all of my furniture. Every time there was any sort of thing that was vaguely an animal on TV, boom. That's where it came from.
I have to ask. When I saw your message talking about crypto,
Kyle is incredible in the role. We were.
So now we're talking about lanterns.
We're really lucky. Damon Lindelof was one of the very first people I met with. I'm a big fan of his stuff, and I love Chris Mundy from Ozark. And so that was kind of a dream team of those three people coming together, along with the folks at HBO. And it's kind of just been pretty smooth sailing the whole way. It's a beautiful, beautiful series, 8 episodes.
The Rebel Ridge experience felt so much like a Jon Stewart audition tape that I can never imagine watching. I watched Rebel Ridge, and I was like,
well, I knew Aaron was already at the top of my list.
Oh, amazing.
Aaron was almost Ed Morlock.
Oh,
so, yeah, Adam.
That would have been incredible.
Yeah.
Very short list. But the chemistry between Aaron and Kyle must be so essential. Like the Hal Jordan relationship.
Totally essential. In fact, we had them read together to make sure. Just like I did with Superman and we did, Lois and Superman, we had a bunch of different readings, test screening, screen tests with the different Loises and Clarks to make sure that each actor was great, but also that they had this magic together. Because I have worked with actors in the past who are great individually, and then you get them together, and you're like, that spark doesn't seem to be there. They could be even getting together off screen. I don't know, but it doesn't seem like it's there on screen.
Right. Yeah.
Sometimes they hate each other on screen, but it's there on screen. And that's it's like casting a third actor's chemistry.
I'm a huge Mike Flanagan fan.
Me too.
Now we're talking about Clayface, the rated R Mike Flanagan horror movie. The character Clayface is going to, I think, appear in the Batman DCU movie because it's all connected.
So what if it's? I mean, I think he's like a great adapter.
I think he's never done anything. I like everything he's done, and Mike and I have actually been friends for a while. And Clayface was not something that which Mike has written. Clayface was not something that we didn't come into this job like with Woman of Tomorrow or Lanterns. Woman of Tomorrow and Lanterns are both things we talked about when we had our initial writers. We knew those things were coming. Clayface was not on our checklist. But Mike came in with a pitch for Clayface that was like, whoa, that is so cool. And then he wrote the screenplay and fulfilled doubly on that promise. And the thing about Clayface that's so cool is Peter and I were like, back when we were like producing horror movies and Belko Experiment and all these things, I'm like, if we had gotten this script as a horror movie, not being a part of the DCU at all, it's like this amazing body horror film that we would jump at the chance of making. So it really is about it's just a great horror movie that is a great, smart, fun horror movie in a genre that I happen to love, which is body horror.
Are you going to make it rated R?
Yeah, it's rated R, yeah.
Oh man.
It's not anything now because the MPA has
you know what I mean.
But it's most likely rated. That's pretty intense. What?
Would you tell us the pitch that he gave?
No.
Well, because I had the thought, I personally, my view of Clayface is really specific to 2025. I've always seen Clayface as a great comic tip.
Mike's done all those things.
He's, again, his Netflix.
So this will be based on the Batman the Animated Series Clayface, which is dope.
Shows, all those are such great adaptations.
Totally.
Really classic horror, spooky things that he really puts into, especially House of Usher, Fall of the House of Usher.
Yeah, for sure.
Incredible contemporary context.
Yeah.
I'm excited about that.
So we've talked for an hour, and I have not wanted to have any sort of scoop.
Oh, what did you give him?
Oh, yeah. You think his haircut in the comics is hideous.
I know, but you didn't have to adapt.
I did. I did. Remember, Nathan Fillion's one of my best friends. You think I'm not going to give him the ugliest haircut in the man?
About that. Oh, they put it on.
Oh, he's so funny. He's so funny. He's funny in the movie too.
I defended it on X for you. I called it a fuck ass Bob, and they said it was kind of.
It is very kind of.
But I'm always curious, comic fans for it's got pretty.
And to be fair, that Guy Gardner haircut in the movie is not comic accurate. It's not shaved on the sides. Let's keep it a buck. Now, okay. Gunn reveals how Jason Momoa's Lobo fits into Supergirl there, and I think it's going to be dope. Momoa is often cited that even in his 10 years Aquaman, his aspirations to play Lobo, which Gunn now provided him, in the DCU. So, but Lobo won't be the only opposing force in Supergirl. Of course, we got Krem of the Yellow Hills, who's like a space pirate. So you know, they're space bounty hunters, space pirates, and it's just, dude, it's sick. The events in the comic unfold because Ruthie Mae Noel, who will be played by Eve Ridley in the film, seeks a bounty hunter, Lobo, to kill Krem, since Krem had killed her father. And so she finds Supergirl instead. But though the film could deviate to have Lobo be a part of the story in a new take on the conflict, that will add sort of a more physical threat for Supergirl to deal with. So whatever the case, it'll be interesting to see how the Craig Gillespie directed feature turns out as the next big DCU film. And we're gonna get to Superman and Spider-Man in a second. Superman, James Gunn teases a new Elseworlds project from a very, very, very famous movie actor. As he told Entertainment Weekly, he said, "I said it depends on how the screenplay comes out. If it's a masterpiece, then I'll make it, but it has to be a masterpiece." And this very, very, very famous actor replied, "I don't know if it's a masterpiece, but is still working on the script." He said, "We're not going to make it unless we like the script," and that's how he's been about everything. That's you know, his sort of thing. But Gunn refused to name the actor, or provide any specifics about the project. Said that he's very, very, very famous. But speculation is linked to pitch to Tom Cruise, who's signed a strategic deal with Warner Brothers in January 2024. So under agreement, Cruise and the Warner Brothers Motion Picture Group are developing theatrical films together, including franchise properties. So Cruise now maintains that an office at Warner Brothers Discovery's Burbank lot, and Gunn has not confirmed Cruise's involvement at all. But the timing and the nature of the Elseworlds pitch align with Warner Brothers Cruise partnership deal, and so that announcement, everything. So aside from the unnamed film, though, Gunn said his favorite DC project is yet to be announced. So there's still something brewing that is his favorite that we haven't heard about. He said, "There was one thing that I knew about from the very beginning. I felt like it was too easy to rip off by another company, so he kept it under wraps." So he is not mentioning it because he said anybody can rip it off, or somebody can rip it off real easily. That's the only sort of clue, if you want to call it that we got regarding that. But the Superman movie, right? This actress Plum Klementieff's secret DCU role has been revealed. Plum Klementieff has a secret role, and who's Plum Klementieff? Well, let me show you who Plum is. I'm sorry, Palm. It's Palm Klementieff. Hang on, you know what? Let me just. Seven buttons. All right, there you go. Palm. I'm gonna say it again. Superman. Palm Klementieff. Secret role, DC role revealed. It says the Superman, the secret role in the Superman movie has been revealed. Who does she play in Superman? Gunn previously worked with Klementieff. I just want to know who the character is. Plays Mantis in the Guardians of the Galaxy. That was her? That's Mantis? Yeah, that sure is Mantis. Yeah, that's Mantis. So that's Mantis. And Gunn now confirmed that she's joining DCU, and her voice will be heard in Superman as one of the robots that inhabit the Fortress of Solitude. So, yeah, nothing cool there. I'm not super excited about that. That's not a big character. Well, come on, man. You could. He said, "I will give you something that nobody knows." You know what? Plum Klementieff is one of the robots. He said in that same scene is Bradley Cooper. It's also Palm, and Michael Rooker is another one of the robots. So we got Bradley Cooper, Palm, Michael Rooker playing the robots. So these sort of nameless, faceless, numbered automaton robots are going to be all voiced by famous, well-known actors and voices. So That's fucking cool. That's really interesting, man. It just makes the movie that much more rich. And man, it just I can't wait for this movie. Cooper and Rooker's casting was already known. However, this means that Superman robots are a mini Guardians of the Galaxy reunion, as Cooper voices Rocket Raccoon from Marvel. Rooker starred as Yondu in the first 2 films, and another voice is going to be Alan Tudyk, who has done a bunch of DC stuff and Marvel stuff too. Synopsis reads: DC Studios' first feature film to hit the big screen is set in Sword theaters worldwide. Summer Warner Brothers Pictures. In his signature style, James Gunn takes on the original superhero in a newly imagined DC universe with singular blend of epic action, humor, and heart, delivering a Superman who's driven by compassion and inherent belief in goodness and humankind. Yeah, man, check it out. Palm Klementieff. The Batman. No, hold on. Before I go to the Batman, and I can't wait to talk about that. Let me see, because I want to give y'all that Superman, Spider-Man. Let me see if I can skip a bunch of stuff. Yeah, we'll go back to Superman. All right, we'll go back to Batman. All right. I'm gonna do Batman. I'm gonna do Batman first, then we'll talk about Superman, Spider-Man, because I'm gonna segue into the Marvel shit. We're gonna finish this DC. We're gonna do Superman versus Spider-Man, and we're gonna start talking about X-Men reboot, MCU reboot that is finally been cast. Director is named, and we kind of can get the vibe of what this thing's going to be like too. So we'll get into that here in just a moment. But without further ado, the Batman. See, and this is quick. The Batman sequel script arrives on Monday as Warner Brothers eyes a January shoot. So yes, we've been hearing that the whole thing with Batman 2 has been this shaky. We don't know, is it going to happen? Is it getting canceled? What's going on? And Gunn, has reassured us that Matt Reeves is just slow, quote unquote, and that he is working on the script. They just haven't got a script yet, and that's why everybody's kind of like nervous. Well, Matt Reeves is finally turning in his script for the Batman 2 on Monday. News that's sure to be met with a mixed relief of exasperation over at Warner Brothers and DC Studios. Insiders are saying that the script was, originally expected more than a year ago, and which makes this delay even more frustrating, given that it's been now over 3 years since the Batman raked in nearly $800 million worldwide. Prompted quick for a green light for a sequel, and he should have rode that momentum, dog. Oh, he should have rode that momentum, because now, like, it's gone cold. Like, the shit's got cold. You know what I mean? Like, the plate is cold. You should have brought that dessert up, man. When I just finished my meal. You know what I'm saying? Now I done had 50 other dinners. You want me to come back for dessert now, man? It's like, what? But nah, I mean, the Batman, exquisite. The Penguin show held us over, but you should have rolled right into the Batman 2. Unfortunately, now we gotta fucking wait till like 2027, October, like late 2027, meaning Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav may go his entire first half decade without a new film starring the crown jewel IP. Right, Batman is the crown jewel IP. According to Baloney, behind the scenes, Patience is wearing thin. But there's been chatter, that DC was weighing its options, including replacing Matt Reeves as a director if he couldn't get the script done as a writer. And truth is, Reeves works at his own pace. He took his time crafting the first film, and there was no hype about it. There was no call for it to be no rush, because no one had heard of it yet. So he took his time with the first movie. But then now you got to do the sophomore album. You know what I mean? Like, it's like every art. It's like, no, I'm not gonna. But no, I mean, for his part, James Gunn has publicly backed Reeves every time, going so far as to tell fans that get off Matt's nuts, quote unquote, and let him write in peace. So yeah, still the big question is whether that 2027 date though is actually going to stick. I'm real. We'll be lucky. It's going to get pushed, and yeah. 2028. I'm calling it. That sucks. The Batman was amazing. Don't give me that shit. That shit was amazing. Clayface, rated R. Mr. Miracle show, rated R. That's happening. And without further to do, just a little teaser here about the Superman Spider-Man crossover movie. Little update, little teaser there from Gunn. He says recently addressed the possibility of a Superman and Spider-Man crossover, and it's been, you know, discussed and mulled over. But a new interview, he confirmed past discussions, serious discussions about the idea, explaining, you know, what it would take to make it happen, and emphasized the importance of meaningful storytelling over spectacle. When we're talking about a Superman versus Spider-Man movie, that could easily fall into the cash grab category, you know. And he's going to avoid that. And that's again why I think this is the guy I want making, you know, the comic book movies. Guardians were my favorite Marvel. It was weird because, like, I'm a big Iron Man fan, mainly because of Ghostface, but like I'm a big Iron Man fan, like the whole MCU. But then, like, I'm like, man, these Guardians of the Galaxy movies are the best fucking ones. Like, dead up, like straight up, these are the best ones. Like, I can't even front. Like, I don't want them to be, but these are the best ones, and these are my favorite ones, bro. And so who better, man? In a Rolling Stone interview, James Gunn confirmed talks of Superman and Spider-Man crossover, saying, quote, "We've talked about it a billion times. A 1970s Spider-Man, Superman comic sat on his table, which is what led the interviewer to remark, maybe it's, 10 years from now." Gunn added that the crossover could easily happen, but Gunn cautioned that it would only work if built on quality storytelling, and just having, he said just having Spider-Man and Superman team up isn't gonna do it if it's shit. He said, emphasizing the need for the film to, quote unquote, come from a real place and not be, quote unquote, just a cash grab. And so he explained that any crossover, has to begin with creative intent, right? Not fan demand. And so he said, quote, "If I were to write a Superman versus Spider-Man movie, am I doing it because, oh yeah, people want to see Superman and Spider-Man team up? For me, it would have to be under someone who thought it was going to be awesome." And this sort of echoes the broader approach, to filmmaking that Gunn takes, and so which centers on like a personal connection to the material. He says, he said, "I did Superman because I loved the character." He referred to Rocket Raccoon as his soul. Rocket Raccoon as his soul, just in the interview that we just saw a few minutes ago. So, but yeah, currently he focuses on launching the DCU with Superman and all that, but yeah, he said, "We're going to put everything that we think is of the highest quality, and that any potential crossover will depend on whether it meets those standards." But that they absolutely discussed it. It's absolutely a thing that they will do down the road, and that's exciting shit. This is Nick Killed MCU. Ooh. Gunn says that the MCU was killed by their own decisions. What did he say about the MCU? Ooh, Gunn said longtime Marvel executive Louis D'Esposito said that privately to me. He said, "I don't even know if it's really their fault. That wasn't fair. It wasn't right, and it killed them." Speaking of Rolling Stone, touched on why he thinks the output that Marvel Studios demanded from filmmakers over the last couple of years really hurt the MCU's reputation. Yeah, reflecting on the lessons that he learned from seeing like how the MCU has changed in recent years, he was like, we have to treat every project as if we're lucky. We don't have the mandate to have a certain amount of movies and TV shows every year. So we're going to put out everything that we think is of the highest quality. We're obviously going to do some good things and some not so good things, but hopefully on average, everything will be as high quality as possible. Nothing goes before there's a screenplay that I personally am happy with. And you would think that that's like, yeah, but that's not how it is at the MCU. That's not how it was with Feige. That's not how they did things. They would greenlight movies. They would start filming movies before the third act of the script was written. Come on. And that's why, we got shit like Love and Thunder and the Marvels and Eternals and just nonsense after nonsense. And the Disney Plus shows that we tried so hard to love and wanted to love so bad just really weren't that good. Even the best ones were just okay and wouldn't have been considered decent at all if they had been on any other like TV or anything. It's just because they were on like Disney Plus and it was like Marvel that like certain shit got a pass or was appreciated more than it should have been. It was really bad compared to Peacemaker. Peacemaker, phenomenal. And it's a character I couldn't give half a shit about. It's a storyline that I wouldn't find all that interesting. But, and I'm not glazing Gunn here, but this is yet another Gunn project that you can't fucking deny was phenomenal. So, just saying, man, it's quality over quantity, right? That's how movies, should be. So that conveyor belt assembly line, that cookie cutter, churn out that MCU was on. Yeah, it ruined their reputation. Do you remember there was a time where any actor worth his salt would just do anything to be in the MCU? Like that was the end all be all. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's not how it is now. Like that's not that changed drastically. Like people are like, yeah, I'm good with that. And that's a long way to fall. That's a long way to fall. But speaking of the Spider-Man, Batman, Superman, Spider-Man crossover, there's a Deadpool Batman comic book already dropping this September. It's called Deadpool Batman #1 and announced last month. Marvel's Merc with a Mouth meets DC's Dark Knight this September in Marvel DC Deadpool Batman #1. It's a Marvel DC crossover more than 20 years in the making. The main story starring Deadpool and Batman will be written by Zeb Wells and drawn by industry superstar Greg Capullo, one of the illest on the pen. And the one shot will also feature additional backup stories spotlighting other Marvel and DC team-ups like Daredevil and Green Lantern by Kevin Smith and Adam Kubert. You've got a Captain America Wonder Woman crossover by my man Chip Zdarsky and Terry Dodson. And then Jeff the Landshark and Crypto the Dog by Kelly Thompson and Gurihiru. Each story will be reflected by its own variant cover. We can check out the Daredevil and Green Lantern cover here in a sec. Daredevil artist Marco Cicchetto and the Jeff the Landshark crypto cover by Gurihiru. Plus, feast your eyes on the epic wraparound variant cover by Greg Capullo. Yes, we're going to feast our eyes, man. We're going to all the corners. He says we're going to all the corners of Marvel and DC. And the creators are having the absolute blast finding the unexpected and unexplored connections between these characters. Editor Mark Bazzo shared in an interview, he said, "We can't wait for fans to experience the same jaw-dropping moments that we are, and we've got some more secret stories in the works. So keep your eyes peeled for more to be revealed." Keep your eyes peeled for more to be revealed. He's a poet and he didn't know it. Oh, he said, this has been surreal to say the least. Oh, no, sorry. Chip Zdarsky said, this has been surreal to say the least. Captain America, Wonder Woman are the best their worlds have to offer, both warriors of peace. Getting to explore a dynamic history between them has been genuinely exciting. Kelly Thompson, who is doing the crypto, and Jeff the Landshark said 2 icons meet for the first time. It's such a honor for Jeff to get to be Marvel's ambassador in this crossover story with crypto. Anyone who loves comics knows how rare it is for DC and Marvel to cross over. So Jeff it's not that rare, getting to be part of this historic moment with crypto. I've been getting to bring that tale to readers. And I getting to bring that to the readers. Well, sometimes the job is very cool, end quote. Well, anyway, man, let's check out these covers. Man. They're pretty sick. Pretty sick. Oh, actually, all right. Chill with me for a second. I'm going to put them up on the screen in a way that you guys will get to really see them. But yeah, this is a sign, man. Like, okay, it happens in the comics, it happens in the movies, but that's the way it is now. Marvel, absolutely, we've heard it from the mouths of writers, creators, and Marvel execs and all that they absolutely make comics that are intended to have content that can work in the movies. And that's pretty cool when you think about Deadpool, Batman #1, and this is a variant cover showing Daredevil and Green Arrow because they're in this book. It's like an anthology book. So you'll have Deadpool and Batman are the main draw, and then there's a Daredevil and Green Arrow story. There's a Crypto, the dog, and Jeff the Landshark story, both dogs in their own right, of Marvel and DC. And then you have Batman and Deadpool. That cover there. That's the A cover, I'm guessing, by Greg Capullo. And then you've got this dope ass wraparound by Greg Capullo. Hang on, wait a minute. Is this Greg Capullo also? Yep, these are both Greg Capullos. I could tell. There's a Greg Capullo wraparound with some graffiti in the back, Joker in the back. I think it's a Catwoman in the part left. No, it's Joker though, definitely. That's sick. Yeah, I fuck with that. I fuck with that hard. I'm definitely about to get this. Yeah, that's sick. Yeah, man, this crossover. It's crossover central right now, man. The speaking of crossovers, man, before I get into this X-Men goodness, this is just hilarious right now. You got this is really funny. So I mean, I think it's funny anyway. You might not think it's funny. I think it's kind of funny. But yeah, you got Jim Jones defending himself against these Nas comparisons that are flooding social media. You've probably seen this or other title cards like it. But Jim Jones, there was a comparison. He said, pull up my Billboard entries, son. But Jones makes a case, right, after this 22-year-old college student from New Jersey said that he was influenced more by the Harlem rapper MC Jim Jones than by Nas on the Don't Quote Me podcast. And while stopping by the Joe and Jada podcast posted Thursday, June 19th, Jimmy discussed the viral video. He said, I admired Nas, Jones admitted. He said, when it came to dressing, the wordplay, the music, everything, I was a superior Nas fan, period. I'll never take that away from him, end quote. But once Jones, became a professional rapper and found himself, on the front lines of the Jay-Z Nas beef with the Diplomats when they were signed to Rockefeller back in, the early 2000s, Jim Jones once, sort of looked up to this guy, Nas, and then sort of now was forced to be an adversary. And he said, but then as I got in the game, You got to realize your idols become rivals, end quote. He said, not to take nothing away from that. I developed my own style and my own lane that these kids started to gravitate towards, to the same way I gravitated toward Nas when I was younger. And Jadakiss chimes in to a little pushback on that claim. And Jadakiss said that his son, who's around the same age, is aware of Nas's impact on the genre. But Jim was like, nah. He said, that's because, quote, he said, he's your son, like, because he's around Jada, like, of course he's gonna appreciate Nas. He said, but he said, my son can't tell you a Nas record. Let's keep it a buck here. There must be some type of misconception when it comes to Jim Jones and what Jim Jones has done in the game. A lot of these rappers have had a tremendous job, and I take nothing away from them, but they forget I have a hell of a catalog: gold records, platinum records, gold albums, platinum albums. Check my track record and check everybody else's record. He said, I'm not taking enough away from nobody, but I hear the comparisons. Cats be trying to act funny. No, I've been spanking a lot of this shit. I'm talking about the industry I've been putting on. He said, if you want to go to the Billboard entries, pull up Nas's Billboard entries and pull up my Billboard entries. Now, I'm sure a lot of people would think that Jim Jones had bigger hits or more hits or higher Billboard charted topic, just considering like the general genre of music that they both do, which I think this is comparing apples to oranges, to be honest, guys. This is silly. But for the record, about what Jim Jones said about pull up his Billboard and pull up Nas, is like that's supposed to prove something. Jim Jones has 2 songs, We Fly High and Pop Champagne, in his catalog that have hit the Billboard 100 with only one top 10 hit and no number ones. Nas, on the other hand, has 27 songs that have hit the top Hot 100 with 2 top 10 hits and no number ones. But when it comes to albums, Jim has 9 entered into the Billboard Top 200 with 3 top 10 albums and no number ones. But Nas has 27 albums in the top 200, 16 top 10 albums, and 6 have reached number 1 on the Billboard 200. So don't sleep on Nas, man, when it comes to that commercial appeal, that mass appeal. Warpath, what up, man? Jones is the Nas stand. Salute. Peace. Yo, but yeah, man, that's I had to just touch on that, man. I thought that shit was funny as well. But yeah, man, let me bless y'all. Let me bless y'all right now with the news that I'm super excited about. I'm super excited about it because it's the X-Men. And they're here. It was frustrating to me when I first learned of the fact that the MCU X-Men and the upcoming like Avengers movies were gonna be the Fox X-Men. Like, wasn't the whole point? Weren't we so excited about the MCU doing an X-Men reboot to finally see the MCU version of the X-Men? EGC salute. Heard about Jimmy talking that bullshit, bro. He wilding, bro. But it's no comparison, man. It's really no comparison. It's like I said, man. It's apples to oranges, bro. It's apples to oranges. Speaking of oh man, hold up. Hold on, man. What's up, man? Raw Talk is in Joe Fest, man. We need to do a live stream from Joe Fest. Joe Fest 2025. Hang on, let me move this. Wow. Yo. Damn, that would be sick. Wish I was there. Hopefully he can get on, man, and we can walk around Joe Fest in a minute. Stay tuned. We'll see if we can get him to join us. Hell yeah. In the meantime, in between time, man, while we're waiting on Raw Talk to show up with his man on the street, walk through around the auditorium of the Joe Fest. Man, I can't wait to see Joe Fest. Oh man, X-Men, the announcement for the MCU, man. Yes, I was distraught. I was sad. I was hurt because I was really waiting for this MCU version of the X-Men. This is back before Endgame, really, right? This is back before Endgame, when I still, we still, really wanted. I was like, man, wouldn't it just be sick for them to do the X-Men, man? It sucks that, Fox, still has the rights, and it would be dope to see the guys that are doing these amazing, like, Iron Man and Captain America movies, like, to do some X-Men shit, right? Like, but a reboot. And so finally it comes. Finally the day is here, and we start seeing X-Men in the MCU. And it's the same actors from the Fox X-Men. So I'm like scratching my head. I'm like, what? I'm confused. I thought the point, right, of what's the point? We didn't love this shit like we wanted. Oh, hang on. And Raw Talk said he's back at the hotel already, about to go back for more deals and after parties. Okay. Hang on, y'all. My bad. Trying to get us into the Joe Fest right now. So yeah, I'm going somewhere with this. Trust me. So the Fox X-Men, blah, 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 right? So now finally we're getting the X-Men reboot, or now we're finally getting the X-Men in the MCU, rather, and they're piling up in the Avengers movie. There's going to be a ton of them, and they're all from Fox. They're all Fox X-Men characters. Well, we recently found out that, of course, that is going to be a multiversal situation, and the reason that we are seeing the Fox X-Men is because we're getting characters, from that literal universe in the multiverse, and then they're kind of adding to the multiversal multiverseness of it. Because, like, in the comics, that's how they would do they would go back to, like, old versions or comics that maybe we'd seen, or show us versions from other shit and be like, oh, that was the such and such but so that's cool and everything. After Avengers Secret Wars, that's going to be the end of the phase, the multiverse saga. The next phase, the MCU is going to do a new mutant saga. That whole phase is going to be mutant centric, like 10 years of mutant movies, according to Feige. And I'll believe when I see it, because that's too goddamn good to be true. But oh baby, ever since the inception of the MCU, fans have been asking for mutants to make their grand entrance and share the screen with Captain America and Iron Man. And unfortunately, Disney and Marvel Studios didn't have the rights to the live action adaptation of these characters, and so it seemed like they were never getting it back, right? But instead, Fox was in charge of bringing the X-Men life on big screen, right? They had the rights for movies, and it was that way for many years. 2017 came, and we were treated to a rather unexpected surprise. Disney announced its plans to acquire the 21st Century Fox, and in 2019, it became a reality. Simple as that. The mutants weren't isolated from other superheroes anymore. They now could be in the MCU. This is 2019, guys. This is like 6 years ago. They could have been, but more and more MCU projects are spewing out, and we're getting all this crap. And, Storm stole the spotlight in What If season 3, Storm, and then Beast. We saw Beast in the post-credit scenes of the Marvels. But these are, again, Fox versions, right? Charles Xavier in the Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, which was sick as fuck to see the yellow chair, which we never saw in the Fox movies, and the whole Illuminati thing. I'm a huge Jonathan Hickman fan, but anyway, it wasn't until the release of Deadpool and Wolverine that we started to see more mutants and them having more characters. Then we got new guys like Gambit, new versions of Gambit. We can call that the MCU version of Gambit. That's not the Fox version of Gambit. So I'm cool. Like, that's what I'm talking about. Let's see shit like that in the MCU. And, the dreams of fans worldwide finally became a reality. And the best part is that the party was just getting started, really. And the X-Men, okay, Raw Talk said he's going to hop on when he gets back out there. Nice. All right, so we'll get to see some Joe Fest deals, man. I can't wait. X-Men gonna be in the Doomsday movie 2026. Gonna be in Secret Wars, but the new X-Men reboot starting in the next phase. I think it's 8 we're on now, or is it 7? Whatever it is. Sorry. Thunderbolts director Jake Shearer is now on deck officially, according to a report by Variety, to direct and helm the X-Men standalone movie in the MCU after the multiverse saga comes to an end. When I say the X-Men standalone movie, I mean a movie, one of the movies, right? There's going to be lots of mutant-centric movies, lots of, mutant movies and stuff. But expect to see teams made up of characters like Kamala Khan and characters that aren't even mutants in the fucking comics, right? It's such a travesty. It's horrible. Marvel has the rights of all their own mutants. Maybe the core X-Men or whatever you didn't have rights to, but you don't have to take Inhumans and just kill them off in the comics and have them reborn as mutants. For what did you really do that? Feige, you thought that was a good idea. I don't think you did. I don't think you gave a shit if fans were going to like that or not. You wanted to fill a certain box and check a box and fill a quota, and we know what's going on there. But this comes 1 month after the studio reportedly was eyeing Jake Shearer to direct. And so, to say he's the perfect man for the job, I think is an understatement. I think, the ensemble Thunderbolts movie is one of the best. If you don't have James Gunn, who would have been the best, if you don't have James Gunn, Thunderbolts is it's not really a close second, but it's a second. But it was good. Thunderbolts was good. Regardless of what you thought of the characters or if you care about them or not, if you replace those characters with X-Men and shit, great movie. And besides, some of the Thunderbolt's greatest strengths where it's amazing, action sequences and how good it looked and which is a result of, the filming practical stunts and real sets and not being over reliant on CGI. And I just hope that they don't lean back to that Fox we're all wearing leather jackets. Like, no, bro. I want bright blue and fucking yellow fucking suits, bro. I want, you know what I mean? Like, I want this shit to look like the X-Men, man. That's all I care about. But it's the MCU. It's not DC. It's not James Gunn. These are people that do not care about comics. They don't care about being comic accurate. They don't care about comic fans. Never have. Thought they did at one point, but they really didn't. Marvel has a tendency, though, to test out directors. Ooh. Speaking of Joe's, a classified blowtorch is getting ready to ship, and Frag Viper. Nice. Similar scenario happened with John Watts, and whose work on Spider-Man Homecoming trilogy initially secured him the role for the director of the Fantastic Four First Steps before he backed out and Matt Shakman took his place, who also helmed WandaVision beforehand. So, but as such, it isn't surprising to learn that Jake Shearer, who happened to work on an incredibly beloved project featuring ensemble characters, will now be behind the X-Men project. That's happening. So yeah, exciting news. Exciting news to me. I think I'm excited. Where is Joe Fest at? Where is Joe Fest at? Let me ask. We can Google it. The current. Oh yeah, here. Let me find out real quick for you guys, real quick. Joe Fest 2025 in Augusta. Yeah, he's down in Georgia. Augusta, Georgia. Bang. Yo, I'm super duper excited to see Joe Fest right now. If he comes, if Raw Talk comes through, it's gonna be dope. Here we go. And let me get a big one. I want a bigger one. There we go. That'll work. All right. Let's navigate. This is the Joe Fest website, Real American Toy Convention. This one is going to be at this weekend, Augusta, Georgia, the Marriott Convention Center with over 40,000 square feet. Toys, comic books, amazing guests. You kind of can see everybody in the background there. There it is. Yeah, man. It's 901 Reynolds Street, Augusta, Georgia. Tickets are on sale. Sorry, no refunds. It's huge. Quite literally massive. Mate. Quite literally massive. A lot of comics. I see a lot of comics. I see a lot of paper. I see a lot of art. I want more toys. I want to see toys. Ooh. Real America. Ooh, so we're doing Kenner. We're doing Star Wars. Look at these little photo contest there. There's a lot of stuff. This scroll bar is hella high up right now. I didn't even notice that. Super 7 is out there. What's this? Phantom Core Command Unit. Monster Force is a dope line. Do not sleep on Monster Force. Check that shit out. Very cool looking figures. There's the... I've never been a fan of the clear figures, but I guess he's like supposed to be smoke. But I don't know. I'm not a clear figure guy. I don't like it. Got some podcasts. Who is this? The dude that does Robot Chicken, Seth Green. Yep. Raw Talk said it's in Augusta. Looking at the website. Seeing if he'll be in here before we. All right, so it's like it's a 3-day joint. Friday, Saturday, sick ass convention. So today's the big day. You can see. Saturday's got the huge itinerary. Audible. G.I. Joe Declassified with Steven Reese. I would love to have seen what's going on there. From the creators of Robot Chicken, Seth Green doing some shit there. Super 7, I don't care. I just don't. It's not for me, but that's cool if you like it. Cold Slither Karaoke. What are we doing, guys? That's fun. All right. A lot of cool shit going on. So yeah, if you're into Joe comics, if you're into G.I. Joe toys, of course, if G.I. Joe adjacent, right? Gem. Who's that? Is she the original Gem? There's Larry Hama, the creator of G.I. Joe comics and Marvel. Dude, these are heavy hitters. Ron Rudat, Brian Cummings, Zach Hoffman, Francis Chill. So that'd be cool if he got to play somebody. Let me see. Oh shit, he's there. Was he Storm Shadow's voice? Keone Young? I know the actor. No shit. Fucking Storm Shadow. Oh, Storm Shadow. He used to talk like this. It's hilarious. Is there fucking hair on this thing? All right, man. A lot of cool shit going on at JoeCon, but we'll hopefully we'll see Raw Talk here in a shortly moment. In a shortly moment. My vocabulary is awesome. But yes, Marvel currently has 4 2028 dates secured for upcoming unannounced releases, right? With we're figuring these are definitely X-Men shits. With rumors that the next phase of the after the X-Men the mutant saga, the next phase after the multiverse saga will focus on mutants. So it wouldn't be surprising to learn that one of those dates is being held for an X-Men team movie. But I also consider that to be possible X-Force movies, all the X teams, right? So that mutant adjacent stuff, whatever. So now the only question remaining is which version of the team that we'll see in the team movie, and what's going to be the main version, or are we going to get a couple like a X-Men Blue and X-Men Gold and X-Men, you know what I mean? Like that, be interesting. But variants of the mutants that we've seen in the 2000s movies are definitely coming back in Doomsday, but I don't think we're going to see those in the new movie. So don't worry, guys. If you're like me and you were just boggled at first at why we're having Fox X-Men in the MCU, which I thought was the entire point. When I saw Beast, I was like, okay, Kelsey Grammer, like, so what? We saw him as Beast already. Like, who's the new Beast for the MCU? But anywho, in the comic book, it says in the 2015 Secret Wars event heavily altered the course of Marvel history, and so characters were part of different parallel realities, right? Like Miles Morales permanently moved to 616. Other previously deceased heroes came back to life. And so it wouldn't be surprising to learn that a similar scenario might happen in some live action Secret Wars and something new iteration, of these characters coming back. But we'll see, man. It's Marvel skipping the iconic Hall H panel at San Diego Comic-Con. So for whatever reason, I guess the reason being is that they don't have anything new to talk about. Everything's been announced. Everything's been discussed ad nauseum. and they don't want to start going into mutant stuff now while, we still haven't gotten, the Avengers stuff, and they're getting ahead of themselves as they typically do. So it's very, very typical. Now, just the director of the movie is exciting. Now we know the Marvel the Thunderbolts director is making the movie. That's an exciting bit of information. We also know some other things. We also know who might be playing Cyclops. Now, I'll be honest, I don't know who this cat is at all, but apparently this is who they're talking to. You might know who he is, or someone you know. Everything's Going to Be Great is like a show that he's a star of, and his name is Jack Champion. Jack Champion responds to rumors that he'll play X-Men Cyclops. I don't think he really even knows about it, but apparently that's who they're talking to. Let's see. It says, Jake Shear has been tapped to helm Marvel Studios' long-awaited X-Men. Yep, there we go. I just told you guys that. With Hunger Games, Ballad of Songbird Snakes scribe Michael Leslie hard at work on the script. So there you go. We've got the director. We now have the writer, which is Michael Leslie, who did The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Now, that does not inspire confidence from me at fucking all. I don't. To be fair, I haven't seen that movie, but I have seen enough about it that I had no interest in seeing it. The original Hunger Games for me was I waited a while to see it. It wasn't. I wasn't a YA novel guy. Like, I didn't read YA novels, so I didn't even know what the hell it was when it came out. I think it was might even to the sequel by the time I came out, by the time I even paid attention. But the first one was decent. Like, it was pretty cool. It was very unique, hella weird, kind of cool and like different. And so I rocked with it. It was interesting. The sequels upon sequels and the B movies and the straight to videos I've never liked. But I haven't seen this Ballad. So if you guys know about Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, if you know about Hunger Games, you watched that movie, you know about Michael Leslie then, and you might know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. Help me out, because I don't. It doesn't make me excited. But regarding Cyclops, it says here, one name that keeps coming up is the Avatar Way of the Water star Jack Champion. So he's in this show. Everything's Going to Be Great, and Avatar Fire and Ash. Fans have responded positively to the prospect of him playing Scott Summers in the MCU and asked Champion for his thoughts while talking to him and Benjamin Evan Ainsworth from Pinocchio for their new movie. Everything's Going to Be Great. Okay, it's not a show, it's a movie. My bad. Avatar Fire and Ash star Jack Champion said, "It's definitely news to me. I mean, I hope it comes true, you know. I would definitely love to play the character, but rumors. Now, is he playing coy, or is he genuinely unaware that Marvel Studios is considering him for the role of Cyclops? It's hard to say, but he's clearly open to the idea of suiting up as the leader of the X-Men. At 20, he's the right age to play a younger version of the character and can spend the next decade plus telling Cyclops' story in a way 20th Century Fox movies didn't." And that's very true. I really, really hope that the X-Men movie they do originally, they do make, is a young team of superheroes. The X-Men were teenagers, bro. When the first X-Men book came out, a comic, they were teenagers. Cyclops and all of them. And so I don't necessarily want to see them as teenagers, but if they're 20, maybe Storm or one of the like older characters is like 22, and then like your youngest character, Jubilee, she's like 17, and then like the rest are kind of in between 19, 21. This is a perfect age to start off the X-Men. And obviously reason being is because it's accurate to the original comics, or accurate enough, and it gives you, like they said, a decade plus where the characters really aren't gonna change so drastically that you're like, who is that? And they'll grow. They'll literally grow with the role. So that's the perfect way to do it. It says, we'll see what just happens. Other rumors, additions to the X-Men cast. So the casting is all rumors. The writer and directors are solid. So, but the casting, rumors, and some of these are a bit, I don't know. Some of them I don't know. Cynthia Erivo as Storm. And I'm going to show you who these people are. Because you don't know them. You've seen them in like one thing. They're all, and here's Cynthia Erivo. She played like the Wicked Witch in Wicked. She played Harriet Tubman in Harriet. She she's no Halle Berry. And I don't mean to be mean. I'm not being mean, but this is a different kind of Storm. And that's a good thing. Storm is not Halle Berry. She is a more mature, more like, I hesitate to describe. Okay, I'm not going to be, but this kind of works. This kind of works. This reminds me of Aurora from the comics, actually. Like the old school comics, like the original Aurora. And I'm happy about that, because I know it's going to be very hard to get anything comic adjacent, comic accuracy, even close with the MCU, especially the future of the MCU. I think I'm afraid, guys. We thought that with like Deadpool and Wolverine and stuff, that like it was that they were going back and like hiring the Russo brothers for the Avengers and bringing Robert Downey Jr., that, you know, the MCU is going back to its heyday. I think Fantastic Four is proof that that's not the case at all. I said once that this was right around the time of Thor: Love and Thunder. I don't want, Eternals, Marvels, like around this era. I don't want the people that are running the MCU right now. I don't want the people that are making the movies, the MCU, touching the X-Men. I no longer want to see an X-Men MCU movie. That's fucked up. That I don't want to see my favorite comic book anything in live action, because I know it's going to be so bad and so frustrating and so angering. So I, like most people, was excited after Deadpool and Wolverine and heard about the Russo brothers and RWJ coming back. I'm like, yo, it's about to be hype again. And the more I learned about Fantastic Four, the less I thought that was the case. And I thought maybe it was a fluke. And, Deadpool Wolverine is kind of like a one-off, and it is Deadpool. And like, we don't know what Russo brothers are going to do. We know everybody and their brother and is in this movie. Yeah, I just like with Star Wars, guys, I have no confidence. But speaking of Star Wars, we're going to talk about that in a minute. Apparently, the Rey movie is not happening right now. Thank the gods of Star Wars about that. Moving on. Julia Butters as Kitty Pryde. Y'all know who Kitty Pryde is. And I mean, this casting, quote unquote, these are rumors, not necessarily fan rumors, but like industry insider, scooper rumors. Julia Butters, as Jubilee? No, Kitty Pryde. How old is she? She looks 9. What is this? Well, I guess she's older now. Here, I think this is her older picture. Wait, maybe, yeah. Oh, wait a minute. Now she's finally, yeah. Okay, now she's of age to play Kitty Pryde. That works. Yeah, I don't know what those were her baby pictures. So yeah, that's a perfect casting for Kitty Pryde, bro. That's perfect. Very good news there. I hope these are not just fan rumors. I hope that these industry insiders really know what they're talking about. Hunter Schafer as Mystique. You know, I've heard all this. I've heard all these. I'll show you who these people are. And a lot of it works. And like, first, let's just line it up. So let's look at the lineup. Cyclops, Storm, Kitty Pryde, Mystique, Jubilee, Rogue, Beast, Magneto. So it's not like a full roster by any means. It's a lot of them, but you know, you're missing Gambit, you're missing, you know, Wolverine, a lot of obvious characters. So there's a lot to be desired here, but at least we can see kind of where their heads at. Hunter Schafer is the trans actor. Is it an actress or an actor? You can't say a they. I guess it's actress. Okay. Hunter Schafer is an American actress and model, born in Trenton, New Jersey, raised in Raleigh, North Carolina. Made headlines with her activism against. Wait, is this the? Yeah, this is. So she's in this show, Euphoria, and she's a trans. Made her acting debut as a transgender high school student, Jules Vaughn, in the HBO teen drama series. I do believe she's born as a male. Not that it matters, but if you're interested. Let's see. She said she was closer to what you might call a lesbian, and she was bi, pan, or something. Brief relationship with Spanish. I thought she's really trans. I think she's really trans. She used her pronouns, but also used the title of MX Schafer, in that she stated, "I do like people to know that I'm not a cis girl." Okay, yeah, so she is a trans girl, because that's not something that I am or feel like I am. She doesn't feel like she's a cis girl. She would like to talk about her trans identity less, as she had moved on from the most difficult parts. So, listen, Mystique, first of all, is a shape-shifting, can be anyone, and like, it's kind of crazy. Like, it's kind of fitting. Like, it's kind of weird. Like, I kind of rock with it. Like, I'm not even mad at it. Why would I be? Like, that kind of works. I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that at all. Mystique. It's a shape. It could be anything. So there you go. No offense to anybody, but I think that's dope. Anyway, here we go. Now this Jubilee. We have Kitty Pryde and Jubilee. They usually never do both in one story, so that's interesting. Trinity Bliss. I'll show some more current pictures. So an Asian Jubilee. Perfect. That's exactly right. There we go. Yeah, she's very young. Jubilee is very young as well. So, but yeah, usually you don't see Jubilee and Kitty Pryde. I usually don't see them together. It's usually one or the other. It always seems like. Maybe I'm tripping. There you go. That's Jubilee. And then Margaret Qualley as Rogue. Qualley. All right. Margaret Qualley as Rogue. I don't see it. I don't see it at all. But anything's possible. I mean, yeah, I mean, anything's possible. Dude, has she ever had any other color hair? No, she's straight up always kept the dark brownish black hair. Yep, never did anything disingenuine. So it'll be interesting to see her with a lighter hair color and a white streak and the whole thing, right? Rogue does not have black hair, so that'll be a change. And then you got Jesse Plemons as Beast. So most of you know who Jesse Plemons is. He's been in a bunch of shit. And it works. He could definitely be Beast like all day long because his face already kind of looks weird, like a cat or something, like a beast. No offense, bro, but like you know that. I mean, that's what I mean. Like cast people, you know, like you know who I wanted to play the Thing real bad. Wait. Damn, what's his name? Damn, what's his name? Not Carver. Carver's homeboy. You know what I'm talking about? They were always together. There he is. He needed to be the Thing. Right? Would have made a great Thing. People look like the character, and because it's really hard to get live action to look like a comic book. It just is. But yeah, Jesse Plemons anyway. There you go. Beast, Jesse Plemons. It works. Denzel Washington as Magneto. I think we kind of all know what Denzel Washington looks like, but let's look at Denzel Washington circa right now. Just to make a point. See if we can get any legit. There he is. So I mean, he's like Ian McKellen age now. So it's not, you know, it's not a crazy stretch. Like he fits the age of the role. Dude, he would nail that role. I don't care that he's not Jewish or whatever. Like, we got to get over that. Like, this is the MCU. This is, you know, it's 2025. Like, they're not going to make every white character white anymore. They just feel like all the biggest and most famous white characters are white, which is an argument. It can be argued. And there's so many characters that are black or Latino or Asian or just not white. And the argument has always been, you know, well, use those characters. And the problem is that those characters generally aren't like interacting with all these other characters, and they're not as popular and they're not as well known. And so the argument goes back to, you know, giving bigger parts, you know, to people of color and not and characters that have bigger roles and stuff. So just to kind of glaze over that whole issue, to getting over that, Denzel Washington as Magneto is highly intriguing and could be fucking dope. And then we got Jack Champion. We saw his picture here as Cyclops. Cyclops can be any like guy. And here's another character that is historically white. And that's the thing, like Magneto's historically Jewish, and whether Stan Lee completely based him on Malcolm X or not, which he didn't. He actually didn't. he's definitely very much a Malcolm X character, and definitely known to be inspired by the ways of Malcolm X, let's say pre-Mecca Malcolm X, let's say, right? So the whole thing goes, Professor X is Martin Luther King, Magneto is Malcolm X. Whether you've heard this or not, I'll break it down real quick. Just at the surface level, Martin Luther King, nonviolent activists about uniting races, uniting the people. Everyone is equal. Everyone is the same. Bringing everyone together in harmony, right? That's what Professor X wants with mutant kind and humankind. That's what he's doing. He's trying to show humans that, the mutants are not all bad, and so in he, his team will go out and help humans, whereas Magneto's team, the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants is what they call them, and Magneto's not really a bad guy. He started off maybe that way, originally was designed that way, but over the years, absolutely, and even now has literally become a quote unquote good guy. So and he was always very nuanced, because he was always fighting for the rights of mutants. No matter what, he was always fighting for the rights of mutant kind, and by any means necessary, right? And violent if need be, and doesn't want everyone to live together in harmony, wants mutants to have their own nation, their own, right? And let humans have their own. Sound like anyone you know? Malcolm X, pre-Mecca, right? Before he, learned that, people, from all over, from all races are Muslim, and so, but anyway, he at in the beginning, and this was a Nation of Islam way of thinking, that the races should be separate but equal, right? And so very much a Magneto trait. So that's where the whole Martin Luther King Magneto, Martin Luther King Malcolm, Professor X Magneto parallels comes from. Magneto is actually based, there's a whole thing about it, but yeah, I mean the parallels are definitely there. So, dude, it's not that crazy. Like, it's not that crazy. Like, Denzel as Magneto is not that crazy. I think it'll work. And then Bryan Cranston as Professor X. Heisenberg, Professor Heisenberg. Wait, where's he at? Bung. There he is, right there. I mean, that's Professor X, bro. That's Professor X like a motherfucker, dog. Shave the beard. That's fucking Professor X right there, dog. I don't care what anybody says. I rock with that. Directed by John S. Baird, Tetris, and written by C. Roger. I don't care about that movie. But yeah, man. Finally, we learn, what this X-Men movie is going to be like, and what the X-Men in the MCU is going to be like, and what that's going to be like, and all that good shit. As the MCU enters the mutant era, one X-Men character has the potential to dominate Phase 7, just because of all the MCU-ness of it all. And that character is none other than Magic, the dark sorceress of the X-Men. And a universe of powerful, layered, morally complex characters. The mutants. You've got your fan favorites, your Wolverines and Cyclopses and Storms, and will no doubt take center stage. But one lesser known mutant that has already been in live action in the New Mutants horror-esque movie it has the potential to become Marvel Studios' breakout hero in Phase 7. And that's Ileana Rasputin, better known as Magic. Ileana Rasputin, better known as Magic, who I think Millie Alcock should play, but she's already been cast in a previous mutant movie. But that doesn't mean that they're going to cast her again, that same one. Although she does fit as well. She works as well. I think Millie Alcock and her have a very similar look. But with Millie, with Millie working on Supergirl in the DCU, it's probably not likely. She's a younger sister of Colossus. She appears very unassuming at first glance, but sort of beneath the surface, this character's got a very rare combination of attributes. She's a mutant. She's a master of sorcery. She's a ruler of a hellish dimension called Limbo, and a survivor of one of the darkest origin stories in Marvel Comics. She straddles multiple corners of the MCU. She got the X-Men, the mystical, the cosmic, without really fitting into any one box. And Magic is beyond cool and very cinematic. Her story sort of blends that supernatural horror and emotional trauma, magical lore, and mutant politics. And she's appeared in live action again once before, played by Anna Taylor-Joy in the New Mutants in 2020. Not the best movie, but she definitely fit the role, looks the part. And while the film received mixed reviews, she definitely stood out, as a fan favorite, thanks to her, sharp attitude and signature soul sword. And she's commanding she has a very charismatic, presence, a screen presence. And so that brief appearance did prove the character's cinematic potential. But the MCU has the opportunity, I think, to give her the depth and scope that she deserves in sort of a real, fully realized solo series about Limbo and the whole, hellish aspect and of Marvel, and leading to obviously Mephisto finally. But Magic's story is a goldmine, I think, for storytelling. It you've got psychological depth, loads of action and characters that can be folded in. She was kidnapped as a child by the demon Belasco and raised in Limbo, and her mutant teleportation powers evolved alongside her sorcery, but at a cost, a fractured soul and a constant battle with her dark side persona. The duality sort of sets the stage rather for like a series that I think could explore the themes of identity, redemption, and all that good stuff, and power, kind of like a Loki kind of thing. But unlike most X-Men, she has ties to the supernatural, and so it just has so many facets, and then she fits perfectly in the MCU right now in Phase 7. And I think it's one to watch for. But just throwing that out there. Speaking of castings, though, and Marvel characters, Black Panther is actually finally being recast, and we know who with. We know who with. And if you are a fan of the show Snowfall, you know who with too. The main actor rather from that movie or that show rather is doing a movie called F1. It's like a sports movie, like a race car movie, if I'm not mistaken. And his name is Damson Idris, and he was the star of Snowfall, the movie about the crack era in LA in the 80s, the birth of the crack era, and very intense actor, done a lot of work, been a lot of cool shit. Let me show you who he is. You know that guy. Let me get a better picture. There you go. So that's who they're talking about for Black Panther right there. Damson Idris, not to be confused with Idris Alba. No. Yeah, he's apparently in talks, maybe in talks. But he said he was asked in an interview if he would if he's playing Black Panther. He said yes, no. He said in an attempt to dodge the question. And the host, Craig Melvin, quickly fired back saying, by the way, the yes no means yes. And Idris didn't deny it or anything. So he didn't provide any additional information, but he did say that if he were offered the role, he would definitely take it. Wink, wink. So it's really and then he's doing this big movie right now, F1, this big sports race car movie, like indie race car movie. And one of the reasons Marvel Studios might think that it's the right time for T'Challa to return is because of the importance of the multiverse in its franchise. And so with countless universes out there to explore, having a variant of Black Panther show up and would join, the fight against Dr. Doom would be easy as fuck and just like so perfect. And so, he wouldn't, have to stay for long. It could just be Black Panther in the movie. And so, but definitely time for another Black Panther movie. And I think Shuri can go back to being the lieutenant or the sister of Black Panther. Whatever. But yeah, another option is for the MCU to play the time travel game again and have Idris play a grown-up version of T'Challa's son. So, because the mantle of T'Challa, of Black Panther rather, passes along. And so, yeah, his son Toussaint. Grown-up Toussaint. ... Spider-Man director... Kids movie, Spider-Man brand new day. Oh. So before we go, the Fantastic Four movie has some merch available. Hang on. Matter of fact, we might have to see what's going on. Oh, wait, real quick. Magneto is more of an anti-hero. Absolutely more of an anti-hero for sure. In the comic, Fresno nerds digging it, loving it. BDBGP, salute. How you feeling? How you live? Oh man, always loving the content. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you, fam. Absolutely. Personally, I am not feeling Denzel as Magneto. They should save him for Blue Marvel. I think he's a little old for Blue Marvel. No, isn't Blue Marvel a younger dude? Stu Dog in the house. Where you at, Stu? Stu Dog is he was like, fuck y'all, I'm not coming on the show no more. No, I'm just kidding. He's in Japan. He's visiting family. Stu Dog will be back, I think, next weekend. Yeah, he'll be here next Saturday. But Stu Dog in the building. But yeah, we got some inside looks at some merch about the Fantastic Four movie to kind of give us an insight on the looks of things. Mainly Galactus and these hilarious popcorn buckets and shit out in the land of the rising sun in the Far East, chilling in Japan. Didn't even bring his homeboy. Like, what's up with that, man? Here we go. Let me bring it up here. All right. Popcorn buckets, my guy, for $80. The $80 popcorn bucket that you need. A big hollow Galactus head. Yes, it's $79.99. Shipping end of July. So you'll be lucky if you get it in time to actually watch the fucking movie. You'll be lucky if it comes out in time. But yeah, it's really cool for a popcorn bucket. If it was $19.99 tops, $80, I'm good. I'm real good. Because it doesn't even look like $80 quality to me. But I don't know. Who am I? I don't want to shit on Marcus's theaters only in theaters popcorn buckets. These are a little bit more making a little more sense. This one, you know, the invisible around the top, the fire is next, then you got the stone, the rock, and then of course you got the Fantastic Four of the Mr. Fantastic. It's like the four elements there of the Fantastic Four. $25. It's still, I mean, it's, of course it's a lot for a bucket for popcorn, but it's not that bad. Like $24.99, that makes sense. It's a plastic bucket. It's got some cool features. It's cool. And then this new one they got is $40. Like, okay, it has like a figurine, but like, I guess that's Pedro Pascal. It's so bad. It's so bad. It's so cheap. $40. Then he's got the arm straight. I mean, it's a cool concept, I guess. But like, am I gonna hold this guy? That's like, how am I eating my popcorn? Like, I'm holding on to the dude, like as a handle, or he's just like sitting on my lap as I eat the popcorn. Let's see if Stu Dog can hop on. He said the popcorn buckets are the thing right now. Yeah. Stu Dog in the house.
Yes, they are. Well,
okay, we hear you.
Yo, that's one of the popcorn buckets right there.
Yeah, bro. That's the $40 one.
I'm getting that. I got like maybe I got 3 or 4 of them. I mean, it started with Beyonce and Taylor Swift with these popcorn buckets, and then everybody started collecting them after that.
Oh Jesus! Look at this one. This one's kind of dope.
I'm dead serious. That's dope. Yeah, they started because remember the tour they did? I think it was last year, the year before. They had this big package you could pre-order for you went to the movie theater, and they had these super dope popcorn buckets. I had to get one for the wife. I got her the Beyonce one, and they were sold out. Like it was
check this one out.
Thing. And that's the one I really want. That I definitely
$80 though.
They got my $80 dog. I'm keeping it.
You gonna buy it?
Either that or the Reed Richards. One of the two. You probably
the Reed Richards one.
One.
Reed Richards one's a little
sold out, and they're gonna be
scalping right
now.
Online. You get one right now.
Can you?
Right now.
Oh, they pre-selling them now.
You order right now. Go to marcus.onlyintheaters.shop/cart. Oh, I'm at the cart. Marcus only in theaters. Yeah, there you go. And that's how big it's pretty fucking huge. Holy shit.
You know what I'm saying? Is he like what is he, like a third party dude? Can I get that in the theater and get some popcorn in it?
I don't think so. And no, you order it and then it arrives like fucking, it says late July. So you see, shipping is end of July. So I'm like, you're lucky if you're gonna get it by the time the movie comes out.
Oh yeah, he's somebody else. Now the theaters will
Wouldn't
have
that be ass? That would be ass if you got it after the movie came. Yeah, the theaters got their own shit. Yeah, but this is he did a Thunderbolts one, Red Guardian popcorn bucket.
So he's like a third party guy. Here's a dope. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. And
they're crazy high quality. Look at this. Look how big this Galactus one is. It's huge. You can see the guy right there. I don't know. I can't get it to blow up for some reason. But anyway, here it is from all angles. I think it's ridiculously overpriced. $80 is absurd to me. I think it's a ridiculous price. I think this is a $40 maybe.
That's what I got the Falcon one for, because I got Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I mean, not Winter Soldier. I got Falcon, Captain America one. I have that bucket, and I got the cups. I think the whole package was like $50. I got 2 cups and a popcorn bucket filled with whatever I wanted, and I got refills when I left.
This one's dope. Look.
Yeah, that is hard. I like that.
But like, where are you gonna hold the figure while you're eating? Like, he's like sitting in your lap while you got is he like a handle?
I guess.
Like he's just so far away from the bucket.
I can see if he was gripping it, looked like he was holding on to it. Like,
yeah, you know? He's like wrapped around it, and then he's like his hands like grabbing it.
Yeah. But Reno, popcorn buckets are the thing right now. Like,
yeah, that's funny.
People are like going crazy over collectible popcorn, especially if they're tins. Like you get the popcorn tins, they're very, very highly collectible.
Yeah.
You get people that they're going for eBay. They're on eBay, they're going for a little bit of money.
Yeah. Here goes some more merch, some Galactus shit.
Fantastic Four. What are those?
Just different, I don't know, different marketing things. Like this is a comic book cover here. Fantastic Four First Steps #1, comic adaptation. These are just different marketing or promotional things. Like this one here is like an actual photo of Ralph Ineson as Galactus.
Galactus, yeah. I was reading about the covers. I want the First Steps comics. They said the covers are gonna be off the chain. I was reading an article about it a few weeks ago. So I'm definitely looking to get one of those and slab it.
Silver Surfer.
Now, Silver Surfer gonna be in the movie at all, or are we just stuck with a female lead as Silver Surfer?
Oh well, the Silver Surfer is in the movie, and this is her. This is the Silver Surfer in the movie. That's it. Shalabao.
I know, man. Marvel. I mean, listen, Disney always finds a way to put a female lead in there so that we just get.
Well, I mean, Silver Surfer is not the lead, but she's not gonna be a lead. But she's a big character though that everybody's been waiting for sure.
Yeah, but we should have.
Speaking of leading, the Doomsday apparently Feige's saying that Fantastic Four does lead directly into Doomsday. It's not like a lot of people assumed it was some sort of like standalone movie or some sort of offshoot movie or whatever because it took place in this different universe, but it actually literally leads into Doomsday, and they actually, go from the Fantastic Four universe into the 616 MCU universe.
Yeah. I was also reading that I think they're doing it because Marvel doesn't have a lot coming out after this, so that's why we're getting a lot of video games and things like that. Because I don't think we're getting anything from them until next year after Fantastic Four.
Yeah, after Fantastic Four, then it's Marvel, or then it's Doomsday, and then it's after that it's Secret Wars.
And they got then they get both pushed back until December of next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Marvel's gonna have a good dry spell.
These are all the characters that are gonna be in it. It's a ton of fucking characters.
I saw that. They were showing the chairs.
Yeah.
But then we got Superman next month.
Yep, July 11th.
Yeah, I was reading. They said the ticket sales for that, the pre-sales, have already broken the internet.
Yeah, and Doom or First Steps. I mean, if they First Steps or Fantastic Fours, they're shooting for December of this year. And then they want Doomsday to be December of 2026, and then Secret Wars is December of 2027. So they're doing like a December. That's which is really smart. A movie a year is fine. Like that's fine. I mean, 2 a year is, I think, perfect. 3 a year is too much. You end up making a bunch of dumb shit, and we saw them do that already. But less than 1 a year is just not enough.
Right. So you don't think
Batman
like. So you don't think like maybe like one, and then like maybe a year's worth of content from Disney Plus, and then another movie the next year. So like, you don't think that's too much?
What you mean, doing some shows like Disney Plus shows?
Yeah, just some fillers. Just to keep.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they'll do some stuff. I mean, I just don't. We haven't heard a lot about any Disney Plus shows, Marvel shows, really.
I know I read they were canceling a couple shows, but they haven't been that great. I mean, they've been either hit or miss. They haven't been like we haven't got anything consistent. They really haven't got anything consistent from them in the last 2-3 years.
Yeah, no, it's and they weren't, like you said, man. They never were that great. Like, and some of them were just outright bad. I mean, the big one coming up obviously is Ironheart. That's the one. That's the only one that. And there's there's some that are in development. I mean, we've got and this is from like a couple years ago. They were saying that there's we know Eyes of Wakanda is definitely happening. That's a Black Panther show. And then there's Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, which we got already. There was Daredevil Born Again, which we got already. Ironheart, that's to be seen. Ironheart, we don't know. X-Men 97 was great. Marvel Zombies, a Marvel Zombies, just a Marvel Zombies show, which is a spin-off from What If. So we haven't seen it yet, but hopefully.
The What If Marvel Zombies, that was good. That was
really that was great. Yeah, that was great.
Maybe you know what? Maybe What If was like a template. And this is just me reaching, like, because it was all different. Everything was all different, and maybe that was just like a template for what they thought we liked and might not like, and they just took everything from where that they thought that they knew we liked and gonna expand on it. Because we did like Zombies. Zombies was good. The first season of What If was great. The second season was I don't know what they would. It just wasn't that great. Second season it started off good and ended off bad.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it. I wanted it to be. I felt like if they're gonna do What If, then it should be comic book characters and comic book stuff, not MCU stuff. I don't get why you would animate MCU. The whole point of the MCU is that it's live action. That's why the costumes look the way they do. That's why that's why everything looks the way it does, because it's live action. It doesn't look like comics. It doesn't look like cartoons. And when I heard they were doing an animated Marvel show, I was all excited because I'm like, okay, cool. Finally, they're going to do some, stuff that they can do in comics. Because the reason costumes have to look the way they do in live action is because some of the comic book suits would have to be like skin tight spandex, and that doesn't look right because human bodies don't look like comic book characters, and it just doesn't work. So you have to put armor on it and make the colors a little bit muted so it doesn't look just out of whack, goofy around the surroundings of the real world, and just there's a lot of shit you got to do. So that makes sense. But like when you're doing animation, you don't have to do that shit. So I thought stupidly, ignorantly, that they were going to give us some comic accurate looking stuff and make a comic accurate What If show, and then when I saw it was MCU, I really haven't even watched them all. I haven't watched all those seasons all together because I don't get it. It's not for me. But another show they're doing is movie is Wonder Man. We got that coming out. But shows wise, there's a Vision show, Vision Quest, maybe that's coming out, like a WandaVision type thing. Spider-Man Noir with Nicolas Cage, that's definitely happening. And then there's an untitled Wakanda series that's supposed to be on its way. That's not Eyes of Wakanda. And then lastly, there is a Nova series, like untitled so far, but a Nova series based on like Nova Corps and shit like that. So hopefully Richard Rider. Yeah.
Ben's supposed to be Nova, man. Nova's a big character. People love Nova, man. They love him. But they've never really given us anything live action or anything for Nova. It's all cartoons or
they teased us with Nova Corps in the Guardians movies. I was so excited when I saw Nova Corps. I was like, "Oh shit, Nova Corps! They're gonna, Nova's gonna come out," and he never did.
Never did. Yeah. People been fiending for that. I don't get why they just didn't give us. You could have given us like a show, maybe 4 episodes because they're good with that. But we never got it. I would like to see Nova. I used to play as Nova on Marvel vs. Capcom. I used to play.
I used to play Nova on Marvel Ultimate Alliance a lot too. He was really powerful. But yeah, Ironheart, first 3 episodes. Apparently they're doing it a 2-parter for some reason. The first 3 episodes are going to come out Tuesday, June 24th. So, what is that? That's this Tuesday. So we'll talk about Ironheart on Wednesday. After that, huh?
That'd be Wednesday morning for me.
When are you coming back?
I should be back. Actually, I should be back in time for the show on Wednesday. I gotta see what time we. Like I'm gonna have to do Wednesday twice because we're like a half a day ahead of.
When are you leaving Japan?
I'm gonna leave on a Wednesday, I think, and I'll be back on Wednesday.
So you'll be here for next Saturday show.
I should be, yeah. I should be back like Wednesday morning or something like that.
Okay.
And then
Well,
I'm
anyway.
leaving here. I'm leaving here Wednesday night, but it
Mm.
won't be. It'll be Tuesday for you.
Yeah.
But then when I get there, it'll be Wednesday, so it's gonna be. I'm gonna do Wednesday twice. I'm just gonna be. It's gonna be like
Because right now,
time.
what time is it there now? It's like 6 in the morning or some shit, right?
Nah, hell no. Bro. It's 10 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, 10 in the morning.
10:20.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh.
10:20 a.m. Oh.
Yeah, it's 9:20 at night right now.
Now, what day is it there? That's the only thing I've been getting mixed up.
It's Saturday, bro. Yeah, it's Saturday.
So it's Sunday for me.
Mm.
So it's 10:20.
So if you leave Wednesday for you, that's gonna be Thursday for us.
No, you'll be on Tuesday. You'll be your day behind.
Well, it's Saturday here. You said it's Sunday there.
It's Sunday here, yeah.
Well, it's Saturday here.
Yeah, and it's Sunday here. Sunday morning.
So on Wednesday, it's gonna be Thursday. If you're a day ahead, that means it's Sunday for you, it's Saturday for us. So when it's Wednesday for you, oh yeah, it'll be Tuesday for us. So then when you leave Wednesday morning, you should be here. Well, how long is the flight? Like 20 hours?
14 hours.
14 hours? Yeah, bro, you're gonna be jet lagged and shit. It's gonna be Wednesday night. It's gonna be Wednesday afternoon by the time you land, probably.
Nah, I'll be there Wednesday. Probably
or
like
Tuesday night.
It'll be early. Nah, it'll be early afternoon for me. Like when I get there, it'll be like probably about 12, something like that, or 1.
Yeah.
Because we don't start broadcasting until what, like 7, 6, 6:30. I get there on time, we can be broadcasting at 6:30. We can do 6:30. We can chop it up. We can get it popping.
You going to work Wednesday night?
Yeah, on 6 Element.
Oh, but you're not going to your job.
Yeah, I'm working
so that means you can rock. That means you can rock past 8 o'clock.
That was by design, brother.
Hell yeah. And I'm off work Wednesday and Thursday, so that means I can rock late on Wednesday too. Well, Wednesday, if we do that, that'll be cool. We'll talk about that then. But yeah, we'll talk about Ironheart because I'll definitely have watched it. And you can probably watch it on the plane or some shit.
That'll be closer to Superman. And we can bust up some things about Superman I've been reading about. That's really, really, really. I'm hyped for Superman, bro. I'm really hyped for Superman.
So hyped. Oh, you probably didn't see the new teaser they just put out yesterday, huh?
Yes, I did.
Oh, okay.
I was howling I went outside the hotel and said, woo. They was like, yo, what are you Americans doing here? I said, that's what we do when movie trailers come out. We howl at the moon. So,
you wildin'.
So Japanese people howling at the moon. They were like, woo. But yeah, man, I can't. Did you get the thing I sent you about George Lucas? He talked about how
that's an old ass interview, bro.
I know, man, but I never saw that before.
Oh,
I never saw the interview, but he was talking about how he was writing the next chapter of Star Wars, man, and I don't know what they did with what he wrote.
Dude, you act like we didn't do a whole show about George's script that he wrote, bro. He wrote a 3-part trilogy that was supposed to be the sequel trilogy. You got to get this book, y'all, if you give a damn about Star Wars, the archives. It literally breaks down. He literally fucking breaks down his whole idea for the script, how it was going to be about Darth Maul and his Twi'lek apprentice and the underworld and the remnants of the Empire, warlords and bounty hunters and space pirates and just all kinds of dope shit. And that's what like Dave Filoni and like some of these shows that we've been getting for Star Wars have been peppering in little stuff from George Lucas's supposed to have been trilogy, which they ended up giving us the Ray nonsense movie trilogies instead of this. For whatever reason, they didn't want to go with George's
Here's what George messed up. If you listen to the interview, I know it's old and all that, but sometimes you got to go back and you like, it's like listening to a song. You like, yo, I ain't know. Like, you ever listen to a song, you be like, yo, I ain't know that's what they really said. And you go back, but you done heard the song a million times. You be like, yo, and then it makes more sense. So like, if you listen to what he said, he was like, look, I wanted to be more of a micromanager. Like he wanted to have somebody direct and do everything, and he just tell him what to do. Like he was like, I could whisper in their ear, tell him, don't do this.
Yeah, he said he didn't want to do that. He said that's what he did on Empire, and he hated it.
And he hated it. And he said that, and he said he just wasn't, he didn't think that, he had a lot to do, but he said it took up a lot of his time.
Yeah.
And he said he was letting Kathleen take over and do some things. My question is, had he did it and they came out with the next 3 movies, she had so much power in Star Wars, she changed the whole thing. Like she made it, she feminized it. She made it
because he sold it to her.
No, that's Disney. What I'm saying. See, right. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. And I think that was their plan, unbeknownst to him. Like I don't think he knew that they had another plan for everything he ever did. I think he just sold it, thinking that they were gonna go on with what his, his dream was. And once they got their hands on it, they was like, "Woo-hoo-wah, we're gonna do what we want now. Yeah, we own it now." Like on LL Cool J's record, how he did the little skit, now that you bought it. It was like that.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this ad nauseum, bro. This is exactly what this shit is about. The fact that he sold Star Wars, I mean, that's what it was. Watch, let me show people what we're talking about.
Sell the company with Star Wars. I made that decision because I looked at the future. I looked at the fact that I was going to have a baby. I looked at the fact that I was married. And I looked at the fact that I wanted to build a museum. And I looked at the fact that I wanted to make experimental films. So my life was going on a different track. I noticed the last few movies that I'd made were costing the company a lot of money. And I didn't think that was fair to the people that worked there or the company. And so I had made a decision to move ahead on the next Star Wars series, and we were starting to do that.
So you were starting to make the next Star Wars.
Yeah.
You as director, filmmaker.
I was also stepping away a little bit and turning things over to Kathy Kennedy. What happened was Disney said, or Bob Iger said, if you really want to sell your company, if you're thinking about selling it, because we were talking about retirement and what are you going to do after all this kind of stuff. And he said, well, you really want to sell it? We're very interested. So that started that ball rolling. And I had the story treatments or, outlines. And we were working on scripts. So I sold it. But I knew when I sold it, I said, I've tried to make movies where I step away to sort of Empire and Return of the Jedi.
Right.
And after about a couple of weeks, I knew I couldn't do that. I had to stand over the shoulder of the director, help him, whisper in his ear constantly, do this, do that, and be there to help guide it. And it was much harder than if I just directed it myself. J.J. Abrams, he's a good director and he's good friends and all this sort of thing. But he's also a top director, his own company, and all this other stuff. And it really does come down to a simple rule of life, which is when you break up with somebody, the first rule is no phone calls. The second rule, you don't go over to their house and drive by to see what they're doing. The third one is you don't show up at their coffee shop or the things what you're going to run in. You just say, no, gone, history, I'm moving forward. Because every time you do, and we all learn this from experience, every time you do something like that, you're opening the wound again. And it just makes it harder for you. You have to put it behind you, and it's a very, very, very hard thing to do.
Right. So he didn't want to be a micromanager.
Right.
But he didn't want to direct it either.
Right.
And he said he did that before where he micromanaged it and he didn't like it.
Right.
And so he was faced with one choice: let it go and let somebody else take over that had the passion for it. But that's the problem.
When he was doing his movie that he was his trilogy that he was going to do, that we talked about it from this book, the sequel trilogy that he was going to do, even when he was going to do it before he sold it to Disney, when he was still owning Star Wars and was still going to make this trilogy, Kathy Kennedy was still going to be on board, and he was, but it was going to be his script, and he was going to have her, mostly do the production, everything and which would have been fine, because I'll tell you guys something, the sequel trilogy, say what you want about them, they are hands down the best looking Star Wars anything ever. Yeah, they look incredible. They just suck ass. Right. But they look amazing. So imagine that quality and look with George's fucking lore and story. And that would have been amazing. But George, like he said, would have been micromanaging the fuck out of Kennedy and whoever was directing and whatever, because, you know, it's his baby and he's going to, you know, you're going to do it right, which would have been great. And that's what we needed. And so, but what happened was Bob Iger said, you know, if you really want to fucking step all the way back, let us give you $1 billion and just fucking take it over. We're still going to do your script. I mean, we're going to make your movies and everything, but we're going to own it so that after these movies, we can make other shit. We can sell merchandise. We can Disneyfy it. We can do our thing and get our $1 billion back, but we're going to make your trilogy, you know, but this way you don't really have to be on board and you sold Disney or you sold it and that's it. Well, after they sell it, that's when Kennedy and the powers that be are like, well, and J.J. Abrams, this backstabbing fucker, and they got together and they completely shredded. They ripped apart his thing because they're like, oh, this isn't, because to be honest, George's his idea is not Disney. It's not Disney Star Wars. It's not mainstream. It's not going to make $1 billion in the box office. It's going to be probably received like the prequels were. And they knew that. And which for me is fine. For Star Wars nerds, we love that shit. We don't care. This isn't for the masses. It's for us. It's for Star Wars fans. We don't care if the masses understand it or like it. We don't give a shit. And neither did George Lucas. But Disney does. Kathy Kennedy does. Bob Iger does. And that's why they scrapped his fucking plans altogether and made their monstrosity of a commercial box office megaton you know, success, because they Disneyfied it. They did everything that appeals to mass audiences, and they even tricked most of us Star Wars fans at first, because the movies looked so great that when Force Awakens came out, I left that theater like just so excited. Like, it was just phenomenal. I just loved the fuck out of it at first. I was like, oh my god, this is gonna be incredible. Like, I can't wait to see where this goes and blah 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 blah. And then I kept thinking about, man, like, it's kind of like a carbon copy of the first movie if you think about it. Like, oh shit, like beat for beat. I was like, okay, well, I guess that's kind of cool. They, you know, it's an homage. Okay, like, let's see where they go with the next movie. And then the next movie came out, and then and it's like, what is all this? Wait, I thought, and now, huh? Ah. What? And then the third movie, dog, I the entire time in the theater was ranting, bro. I was pissed off. I was like, that's not what that's supposed to be. What the fuck is that? What do you mean a Sith Wayfinder? What the fuck is this? It looks like a holocron, if you ask me. Don't
forget running out of fuel.
Exegol
and all that,
yeah. Exegol and all this shit.
Like, there was a guy,
and then the Emperor comes back. Like, the Emperor, that was the whole. Like, you ruined the entire gravitas. You took away the whole importance of Vader sacrificing himself for Luke. Like, he killed the Emperor in that motion. So that was the whole thing. And then, like, for the Emperor to still be alive was just horrible. It was a horrible thing. Terrible writing.
I once met a guy that I used to work with. He watched Star Wars. He was a fan of the first 3 movies, you know, 4, 5, and 6. He grew up. He was older than me. He grew up watching those. He thought they were the greatest thing ever made. And he liked Star Wars, but he wasn't a real fan. So he's more like a casual fan, you know, like with merch. Like, if he saw some merch, he thought it would be cool or something to Darth Vader. But he really liked the movies. And he was telling me how he would let his son watch them. And him and his son went and seen the other 3. And he was like, look, I ain't no big Star Wars fan. But he said it. He said, I thought the movies were, he said, I thought they were shit. He said, I thought they were. And he was talking about the last one. He was like, when in Star Wars did they ever run out of fuel? Like, when did they ever, he said, in no movie did any ship they drove ever they talk about, oh, we got to stop and get fuel, or we got to stop and get gas. Nothing. And so he was like, why all of a sudden now they're running out of fuel? Like he was like, I didn't
Yeah.
get that.
Little shit like
and he
that.
just, yeah, he was breaking the whole movie down.
Important.
Like, now this is a casual fan. The casual fans didn't like those other 3 Star Wars. They hated them.
Yeah. I mean, but that's the thing though. They everybody loved them at first. They made tons and tons of money. They were wildly successful, and that's why Disney didn't immediately change directions, and we're going to continue to double down on it. And they're making a Daisy Ridley Rey movie where she takes over and creates the Jedi Order again and makes the Jedi Temple that Luke Skywalker was supposed to make. And the whole thing about Ridley's character Rey, George Lucas's movie had a character like Rey. So here's the thing: this bullshit agenda that everyone thinks like that they're femaleifying Star Wars and all that. George Lucas was already doing that. His main character was a female. His main villain was a female. The Darth Vader of his trilogy was a female, a Twi'lek with red looking like Darth Maul, but a Twi'lek female. And then Darth Maul was the sort of the emperor of the thing. And the Luke Skywalker was a female character, which they based Rey on. And it was and Luke Skywalker in George's stuff was going to become a hermit on the thing, renouncing the Jedi. But it was going to happen unlike the second movie, after we had the whole first movie of seeing Luke having the Jedi Order and being Luke Skywalker that we know, like let's see how far he's come since the original trilogy. Like we got to see that, and then gradually we saw his fall to the hermetism and all that like later. But I doubt he ever drank out of a walrus's titty in that fucking movie, in George's script, and so like all that shit that Disney did, they took the parts from George's movie that they wanted to exploit, and then they used it because they have no imagination. They couldn't come up with anything on their own, but they fucked up the shit that he wrote just to everything was to appease everyone. Make sure that everyone in the world is going to be happy about this and shit. And it's like, movies were never made that way back in the day, like in the 80s and the 90s. And, back in the day, movies were made for whoever liked it. Like you didn't, nowadays, like when they make a movie, well, we have to make sure this doesn't offend anyone and everyone loves it and everyone can appreciate it and everyone can, appeal to it. Well, like why? Like back in the day, that was never a problem. Back in the day, all the greatest movies in the world didn't give a fuck about everyone liking it or not. It was made for fans of that thing. And we lost that with the social media melding of people, and so just melded everybody to where everybody has to be in agreement on it, and it's just bullshit.
Social media got us all messed up. Because the directors, if you go back and you watch interviews with directors, they tell you like, when I did this movie, it was my passion. Or when I did this, like I really wanted to do this. Like I really wanted to make this, and I really wanted to make it good. You hear that a lot from the directors from the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and well into the 90s until probably about social media time. Then you stop hearing that, and everybody says, well, I wanted to make it like this, or I wanted to make it like that. Or I wanted to make it like this. Like they say stuff like that. And they don't make movies with a passion. They make movies to emulate something that they saw growing up. And they wanted to be like that, but they wanted to be different. You can't do that. You gotta make it one.
I mean, that's how books are. Like, that's how books are made, not movies. Like when you make a book, like in order to get your book published, you got to tell the publisher, it's like this meets that. This book's going to be like Silence of the Lambs meets Back to the Future. And that's what you have to compare it to something. It has to be like something that came before it. But, and that's how studios do too. That's how Hollywood does too. What is this like? So when you pitch a movie into a studio, you go to the studio, you got to say, it's going to be like, Avatar meets Conan the Barbarian or whatever. You have to give them something because they have no creativity. They have no mind of their own. They can only go off what past audiences responded to. Whatever has been successful in the past, that's what we want more of. That's all they can do, because they're executives, they're business people, they're not creatives, they're not artists. They're just trying to figure out how to make the most money for their studio. There's a show out now called The Studio with by Seth Rogen. That's a great example, a great example of the fakeness and nonsense of Hollywood. The studio is making a Kool-Aid movie, right, about the Kool-Aid Man, because it's an IP, right, of a popular IP, and it's just sort of making fun of how that's what they do now. They just reach out for the nearest, like, most well-known IP, and let's make that movie, and like nobody creates anything new anymore. But you know, speaking of Ridley and George Lucas and Daisy Ridley and fucking Ray and all that, the movie that they were gonna make, that they're talking about making now, is a Daisy Ridley, you know, led movie about Ray, and made by Charmine Obaid-Chinoy, this woman who has no fandom of Star Wars, no care for Star Wars, have no idea why she's doing this. She just wants to take something that was traditionally for boys, quote unquote, and make it for girls, quote unquote. And that's such a terrible agenda. That's such a terrible reason to do anything. And it's so cheap and shallow and just weak. And so, you know, this untitled flick was originally supposed to build upon Rey's whack-ass story, following the events of Rise of Skywalker, of all movies, that had horrible events, and no one cares about the story, and no one wants to see how it continues, and no one wants a continuation of it but the people that made it. And they have enough money, and because Star Wars was so huge and it made enough money, they can justify doing whatever they want. But according to the current dynamics, fans of Rey might have to wait a little bit longer, because Lucasfilm may have shelved this Daisy Ridley monstrosity, the Rey Star Wars movie. Renowned scooper Daniel Richtman claimed that Lucasfilm has decided to shelve this movie. Finally, because for an undisclosed period too, because they again, they're all about money, and they're all about what's worked in the past. Well, if social media is anything to go by, Rey's not popular. Don't make this movie. Fans will boycott type shit. So the powers that be are actually putting the kibosh on Charmaine Obaid-Chinoy's brain baby, the Rey movie, which is so choice and so phenomenal for a very specific reason. Not just because I hate the way that they bastardized that character that was going to be a really cool female lead character that they turned into nonsense and just made this ridiculous Mary Sue that had no right to be a badass. But they halted development on the project. And yes, there is a fan base that exists that loves Rey and loves the sequel movies and loves the Acolyte. Yeah, there's a whole fan base. I don't know that they were ever Star Wars fans before the sequel trilogy, though. In fact, I'm more than positive that 99.99% of them learned about Star Wars or first experienced Star Wars through the sequel trilogy. And for those people, it's fine if that's how you feel, but they get so mad and so angry at us original fans for not liking it. And the thing is, it's like, why would you, like, this was our thing and we're telling you we don't like that. Like, that doesn't mean, like, I don't get this. Like, at no other situation, nobody would, they wouldn't do this to nothing else. What they're doing to Star Wars, they wouldn't do this to anything else, bro. Just to take it and be like, fuck you, and we're just gonna just do whatever we want type shit and just make up dumb shit and just do whatever and just like, and it's our thing now. It's ours now. What?
Yeah,
The unmitigated gall.
They've done a good job at it too. They've done a good job of feminizing Star Wars. They've done a good job at making.
Well, George Lucas was gonna feminize it. That's fine. Feminize it. George Lucas was gonna feminize it.
But
matter of fact, no, Stu. Star Wars already was feminized. The biggest character was Ahsoka.
Right, but we got introduced to Ahsoka. She got brought in the right way, so we were cool with it. But at the end of Solo,
Princess Leia, Queen Amidala.
At the end of Solo, no, but they were already there. They were already written in. We were cool with that. But look at how they did the other characters. So look at Rey. Rey starts off, boom, from nowhere, and then she's Palpatine's granddaughter or daughter.
Yeah, but see, you have to be careful because you can't talk about it having anything to do with feminizing. It has nothing to do with femininity or female anything. You gotta be careful and not say that because it's not about that.
No, it's not. It's about the characters. So
it's whack writing.
Most of the characters are female. So like you're like, well, wait a minute, where are the males in the galaxy? Like we ran out of males and like everybody there is a female. George Lucas would have had a good mix, 50-50. You know, that is acceptable. But when it's 70,
there's still a really good mix.
70% female, 30% male. You're like, well, damn. You're like, well, wait a minute. Like
the only time that it was really female centric was the Acolyte. That's the only project that's had more females than males in any Star Wars project.
Yes, yeah.
And it failed miserably. But it didn't fail miserably because it was full of females. It failed miserably because it was horribly written, horribly acted, and had nothing to do with any Star Wars anything, except for the shit they shoehorned in. Like, let's pop Yoda in there. Let's pop fucking Plagueis in there and call it authentic. No, it doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work that way. But then we don't mind. But we say it on the channel a lot. We don't mind female characters. We actually love them. We don't have anything against them. We just have a thing against bad writing. And when you write it bad and you don't represent the character the way it's supposed, like if you got a badass female character, like G.I. Joe, Scarlet kicked ass, Lady J kicked ass, Jinx kicked ass, the Baroness kicked ass. Like it was like you could take them sis. You be like, yo, I wouldn't mess with them. Period.
Yeah.
That's the kind of females we want written into these stories. Like
and think about how many dope females are in Marvel comics and how many dope females was already in Star Wars. Like they already had great female characters that were written phenomenally.
Like Princess Leia was no joke. Think about remember in the Star Wars when they bust her out of the jail? She came out shooting. She had a gun. She came out. She was like, look, she was the one that made him go into the trash compactor. She was like, look, we gotta get out of here.
She was the only motherfucker I ever saw clap back at Vader.
Yes.
Arguing with his ass, bickering with his ass, like, fuck you, Dad.
Yeah. I remember in Empire when she was with Han Solo and she got stuck on the Falcon, she was like, look, like, I'm going to be around one day when you make a mistake. Like, she was giving it to Han Solo. Yeah. And he was like, well, he flew into the asteroid field. He's like, well, you about to live that. She was always a strong female character.
Bro, Queen Amidala pulling out the pistol, fighting in the Gladiator, fighting the monsters and shit. Padme,
yeah.
So I mean, and having, you know, she birthed Anakin and fucking or she birthed Luke and Leia and died having twins.
Right.
Like, yeah, I mean, these women were always strong. They were always very feminine and strong. They weren't, you know, you could be feminine and strong. That's showing the strength of femininity. When you make a female be like a dude, that's not showing the strength of femininity. That's you telling me that you think masculinity is where the strength is, and that kind of backfires your whole point. And like, you know, when you turn Taskmaster into a female in the Black Widow, what you're really saying is that Black Widow isn't strong enough to fight Taskmaster if it was a man. You think you're doing something, but you're not. You're doing the wrong thing.
We know Black Widow is strong enough to fight Taskmaster as a man.
Right, exactly. Black Widow can whoop a dude, and so you should have left Taskmaster a dude to show that Black Widow can whoop a dude, but you didn't. You showed that she needs to fight another female. It's like you think you're making these progressive moves, but you're so focused on like this whole this whole agenda that's pointless. It's so unneeded. Marvel is already not a patriarchy. Star Wars is not a patriarchy. Like these IPs were already full of strong females, already had a very mixed male to female ratio. People respected the fuck out of the female superheroes that were in Marvel, as well as the female characters in Star Wars. And nobody ever thought about it, bro, until this new shit that they started doing at Disney. No one ever thought about it. Like, Star Wars fans weren't sitting around going, Ahsoka's really dope for a chick. Like, that never came across no one's mind. No one thought about the fact that, no one came out of no one's mind. No one thought about these as like, oh, it's a female character. Like, that wasn't an issue. It was just another character that happened to be female, but like that was an afterthought. And now it's like the whole important fact is that it's a female first, and then like everything else is second. Like, no, that's lame, bro. That's lame as fuck. That's corny. It's just corny. But yeah, Lucasfilm shelved the Daisy Ridley movie. Thank God. And hopefully that's true, because that means hopefully that they're not going to totally destroy the Dawn of the Jedi movie that's coming out by making it somehow relate to the Rey movie, because that's what they did. The Dawn of the Jedi movie is based on a comic series called Dawn of the Jedi about the Jedi, right? Before the Jedi were the Jedi, and before the Sith were the Sith, and when there was another big bad out there. And so 25,000 years before Luke Skywalker. And the guy that's making the movie, apparently he wrote the script and everything, and then Kathleen Kennedy and Charmaine Obaid-Chinoy, that's doing the Rey movie, pulled him in the office, and they're like, you need to change this, and this. Now, why would he have to change anything? Because it had to fit with the narrative that they were telling with their sequel trilogy and Rey movies. And that's ridiculous on two fronts. A, because how dare you? And then B, why would 25,000 years ago have anything to do with now? The whole point, the great thing about the Dawn of the Jedi comic, there's nothing that even resembles known Star Wars anything. There's nothing that resembles known Star Wars characters. There's nothing that resembles known Star Wars like lore. Even lightsabers are different. Even lightsabers are completely different. You have to tap into the dark side to even get one to fire up. And then after that, they make it where anybody can wield one by plugging it into a battery pack that they wear on their hip, and there's a cord that comes out and plugs into the bottom of the lightsaber. And that's how the lightsabers are in the comics. Right after the Jedi, after the Dawn of the Jedi shit, in the ancient old Republic and shit. And like, so that's the cool thing about it, that it doesn't relate to any current Star Wars, and it's so different. And they want to take it and bastardize it and make it relate to this Rey shit, and that would have just ruined the fuck out of it. So I'm hoping and praying beyond hope that this cancellation or shelving of the Rey movie will mean that my much cherished Dawn of the Jedi story won't be so destroyed for the Dawn of the Jedi movie. But as such, the Rey movie is joining a long list of Star Wars films that have failed to make it out of production. Star Wars loves to announce movies and then put them on the back burner. That's pretty much how they do it, and that's like their way. But yeah, they intend to prioritize Sean Levy's Star Wars Starfighter movie now, because it's got Ryan Gosling and Mia Goth in the leading roles, as well as James Mangold's forthcoming Dawn of the Jedi movie, and that's great. But the Star Wars Starfighter movie is basically a rehashing of the Star Wars of the Rogue Squadron show that never was, and they're plugging Ryan Gosling into it, and it's not going to have anything to do with any known Jedi saga, or Skywalker saga. No known characters will be mentioned or be in it at all. It's just going to be about starfighters and shit. I mean, maybe we'll hear something about Wedge Antilles, or maybe they'll mention, if they're smart, they'll mention somebody, at least talk about them to help bring it together. But yeah, it's going to be totally standalone from anything previous. Like Poe Dameron won't be there or anything like that. So that's good. That's at least promising that at least it won't be some, because anything based on the sequel trilogies, like I have never liked. Whenever there's comics or the High Republic, whenever anything is based on the High Republic or the sequel trilogy, I've never liked it. It seems to be written or made by people that know nothing about Star Wars and don't care to. And but yeah, many movies being announced and then thrown on the back burner, like the Project Rogue Squadron, which was and then there was the Donald Glover Lando movie. Then there was the Taika Waititi Star Wars movie, which thank God never happened, because can you imagine a Thor: Love and Thunder Star Wars? Oh. And then Dave Filoni's Star Wars flick, which would have bridged the gap between the Mandalorian and the Ahsoka universes, and Rian Johnson's Star Wars trilogy that he was going to do, as well as Simon Kinberg's Star Wars trilogy. So those have all been announced at one point, and none of them have gotten any positive updates in recent times. With Daisley's Rey movie reportedly being shelved, the current theatrical schedule for Star Wars films includes the Mando and Grogu movie, which will hit on May 22nd, 2026, and the Star Wars Starfighter movie, which comes out on May 28th, 2027. And that's it. Out of like 10 announced projects, that's it. So, but hopefully this sticks, because I just really don't want this movie to happen. But what they're saying is that it's not canceled, but rather temporarily on hold. So hopefully it stays on hold long enough that it does get canceled, and hopefully, they just get over it.
Hopefully it stays on hold. Yeah, because we never got. I wish they would just say, look, let's just release that Darth Maul video game that I've heard that when people played it, they loved it. It was a side scroller adventure game for Darth Maul. We never got it. And it's actually shelved at Lucas Studios. It's actually a real thing. They just never released it. They finished it. It was, and they said that it just got shelved. I guess when he sold the studio, they just was like, we'll just shelve all that, like you said. And he said they have a bunch of projects that they finished, just didn't bring him out. They just were shelved, and they're sitting in Lucas. So I want this Darth Maul video game badly.
I know, bro. And the Mandalorian show, that season 3 was trash, and then they just aren't doing a season 4 anymore. Now we're getting a Mandalorian and Grogu movie that's now replacing season 4, which I think is bullshit. When you're replacing how many hours of show with a hour and a half movie? That's ass. And that's it. Like, but apparently they're going to be, literally having like 5 characters or so from the Mandalorian Grogu show that we know, or sorry, from the Mando show, that are going to be in the movie, like
Ahsoka. No, that's what I mean. Bo-Katan. We know Bo-Katan's going to be it.
I mean, obviously there's Grogu, there's Trapper Wolf, which is one of the New Republic officers that we've seen in The Mandalorian reprising his role. There's Zeb, who we saw briefly in live action in The Mandalorian season 3, who looked phenomenal, and I'm really excited to see Zeb from the Rebels show. Yeah, so he'll be back working for the New Republic. Yeah, sometime after the events of Return of the Jedi. So that's really cool. And so he was officially confirmed to be returning in the Mandalorian Grogu movie. And since he's such a major character in Star Wars lore, it's possible that he could play a fairly major role in the film. And then there's the Anzellan, those little tiny Babu Fick motherfuckers from Rise of Skywalker, who were like the coolest little tiny little mini aliens that worked on the robots and the droids and shit. And they'll be in there apparently. You know the ones I mean? The Babu Frick, the one that he was like a little droid, it's like this big. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. The ones that built the thing for Grogu. They made the robot into
to
like a riding droid form.
Right. And then there's Bo-Katan. Yeah, Bo-Katan, she's going to be in it. Moff Gideon, of course, is going to be in it. The Armorer is going to be in it. She's dope. I love the Armorer. Ahsoka is going to be in it. Carson Teva, one of the New Republic pilots, officers, is going to be in it too.
Yeah, the Armorer has a fan. She has a cult following.
Yeah.
The Armorer.
Yeah. She's fucking.
Yeah.
She has a real following. They're in love with her. Yeah, literally. It's some weird ass fans that love the Armor. The writer Bo Willimon, who the Andor guy that wrote Andor, he broke down the Saw Gerrera's absolutely wackadoo Rido speech. If you remember the Andor show when fucking Saw Gerrera is talking, explaining shit to the other character, he's going off on some wild shit, and it really was odd. Like, I didn't get what the fuck. I mean, he was just wilding the fuck out. But
because you gotta remember, you know what it is, Reno? They didn't. All right, look, Saw Gerrera. You gotta remember, it was a good amount of time between Rogue One and the story they gave us, Andor. But they had to fit it into like a little bit of a time period. And remember what they said in Rogue One, that Saw Gerrera was like, over time he was just going crazy, became paranoid.
Yeah, he's crazy. Yeah, he's crazy.
He's crazy. And remember, as time went on, he became even more, like they said, wackadoodle. And by the time you got to Rogue One, he was like, look, I'm more machine now than man. Like, he had lost a lot of body parts, and those things could have had an adverse effect on his psyche. Him losing body parts, him being more machine than man. Like, that could have just added more to his wackiness.
Yeah. No, I know why, and I know why he was I know why he is the way he is, but this actually breaks down what he's saying, and that's what I found interesting. It says during the 2 weeks, Andor writers gathered at Soho Grand International to break the second season. Bo Willimon was in the room. He even brought about the whiteboards he used for brainstorming and his own assistant to take notes. But in the subsequent weeks, when the small staff dispersed to outline their individual episodes and write the initial drafts, Willimon held meetings with showrunner Tony Gilroy over Zoom. At the same time he was writing Andor, he traveled overseas to work on another project documentary on Russia's assault on Ukraine, which meant working in a nation under siege. He said, I did tell Tony I was over there. And he said in an interview, but at a certain point, he figured it out. And war was already on top of the mind for the Andor team. And so Willimon said the writers talked about Ukraine a lot while breaking season 2. It was February 2022, the run up to the Russian invasion. But being there, it goes without saying, was different. So you see where this is going. Saw Gerrera is going to be, sort of referring to the Ukraine. It really did. I think some of the way, at least some of us, some of the work I did on my episodes, he said war and the high stakes and hearing air raids and sirens and being in a highly militarized environment, none of that was abstract for me. It was very, very real. Rockets were exploding just a few miles from where I was staying. So how can I not, to a degree, infuse itself into a story where there were some of those same elements? Not that there were any direct parallels per se, but the environment certainly informed some of the work I was doing. As a lead into Rogue One, Andor Season 2 chronicles a perilous 4 years in the Star Wars timeline. The Empire's authoritarian reach widens and tightens. To fight back, the rebellion grows and matures. Gorman becomes a critical battleground when the Empire occupies its peaceful capital city and escalates a conflict for its own nefarious gains. Citizens face nightly curfews, and the armed militia march on public streets. Bombs go off, arrests are made, war breaks out. The parallels between what's happening in a galaxy far, far away and what's happening right here on Earth couldn't be more clear. Since its premiere, Andor had been adopted by the real-world resistance groups. whether they're fighting state-driven genocide or the rise of fascism or unlawful occupation. Willimon stressed that Andor wasn't written with a direct parallel in mind, but living in a country where torn apart by war certainly informed some of the work I was doing. Historical precedent, so often repeated, was the huge part of process for shaping season 2. He said we were constantly cherry-picking different moments in history that we could use as inspiration or put a gloss on a certain aspect of Andor. The nature of the show, but was also the franchise in general, is that it has the room, the breadth, and the depth to be able to absorb a lot of different historical events. And Star Wars can transpose them in ways that provide certain kind of dramatic distance, and it can allow us to understand those events better because they're put through this filter. So what he's saying is like, you can take some real shit and slap the Star Wars skin over it, and people will be able to absorb it more because it will be through the veil of fantasy. And that's true. That's how we get it on. But Willimon said that he and the Gilroy brothers are history buffs. They recommend history podcasts to each other all the time and savor episodes of Dan Carlin's Hardcore History. A lot of the themes in the show are things that humans have been dealing with for millennia, obviously, Willimon said. Kyle Soller had a great quote, which I steal right now and may butcher it a bit, but this is sort of the show that would be as relevant as 100 years ago as it is today. And I hope that it will be relevant. Well, in some ways, you hope it's not relevant in 100 years from now, but some of those issues it's touching upon go to some core flaws in humanity, right? But these themes and historical paradigms and political moments are evergreen, so it was natural to draw from history. Reflecting recognizable moments in a time that not only helps dramatic heft, adds dramatic heft to Andor's various space battles, but it can help inspire viewers on a visceral level, as is very much the case in celebrated scene from the end of episode 5, I Have Friends Everywhere, written by Willimon. Set on a rainy, distant planet in the Middle East, in the middle of a risky heist, the rebellion's extremist leader, Saw Gerrera, played by Forrest Whitaker, delivers a rousing speech comparing the highly volatile fuel, Redonium, to the resistance itself. Ostensibly, Saw's words are meant for his newest recruit, Wilmon Pack, who is helping him pilfer a potentially lethal energy source, but as Saw continues speaking, his enthusiasm proves contagious, both for Wilmon and the audience at home. He said, "Have you ever seen a man die from rhodium?" He said, "Maybe you're like me. Maybe you love the smell of it. Maybe you breathe this a little too deeply. Burned from the inside. You watch your skin blister as it melts away, or you die loud. Cut a line, drop a wrench, let it spill. Don't even need a spark, do you, boy?" And when asked to share the scene's origins, especially given his proximity to the actual war while writing the episode, Willimon's explanation was so thorough and generous, it's worth sharing in a full few light edits for clarity. First and foremost, what else is happening on the episode? Boom, Mon Mothma standing up to Emperor Palpatine by lobbying for votes in the Senate. A nascent, inexperienced rebel underground in Gorman preparing to take on their first major action against the Empire. Bix dealing with the PTSD of her imprisonment and doing death sticks, torture, and subsequent attacks, all at the hands of the Empire. Meanwhile, Saw Gerrera is operating on the outer fringes, just trying to get some jet fuel to help keep raising hell across the galaxy. This shit, Rhydonium, is like the shit they use to power the vehicles, right? The jet fuel, right? Or some shit, right? And they need hell of it. But the reason that he's all fucked up and the reason he breathes that oxygen is because he fucking loved the smell of that shit so much. He would just he would go out and just breathe it and like just get high on it. And it fucking burned his fucking lungs and made him crazy. And so that's what he was telling him in that scene. He was like, breathe deeply. He was like, hit that shit, bro. Because he knew he was, and that's what happened. He was like, you'll get hooked on that shit. He said, we wanted to show the formation of the rebellion and its amalgamation in these extremely disparate parts, that it's a spectrum stretching from Senator of Coruscant to the insanity of Saw Gerrera and his motley crew out there in the middle of nowhere. We really wanted to show these things coexist despite being so far apart and so different. Whether nobility and pomp and circumstance is there in the Senate, on the other end of the spectrum is the madness that is Saw Gerrera. So you start asking yourself, what sort of things is Saw up to? From there, Willimon said his shaping Saw's story came from thinking about juxtaposition. What is that?
I said, remembering, I think it was Andor, not Andor, Rogue One. They were saying that they needed Saw Gerrera, but they were talking about how crazy he was. They was like, look, we need him, but he crazy.
Oh, yeah.
It was like he doesn't stick to the plans. We form an attack plan with him. He comes in, does what he wants, and leaves, and just leaves us with our pants down, and we got to fight our way out of there.
Yeah, because he's he basically is so paranoid and so like fucked up on that shit that he is basically a faction separate from the rebellion and the Empire. He's his own shit, but he was part of the rebellion, but him and his crew, they got more and more crazy and like got more and more high on that rhodium and shit, and more just on their own shit, and became paranoid that even the rebels were on some flaw shit and like helping the Empire and shit. And so he's like, he thinks he's the only true rebel and shit. And like, and so that's what happened to him. And that's why they're like, yeah, we use him, but he's like a weapon. We aim him and his crew at it, and that's it. But he's not like going to be sitting on the council or anything. And he said, so far hasn't been reluctant to play with others, Willimon said, but the key member of the rebel team, why not build that in? He said, as crazy it might seem in this arc, he's still to a degree playing ball. He is working with one of Luthen's guys. Now we think maybe not. Maybe he's going to kill this guy, and maybe he's just using them. That's certainly what we'd expect of Saw. He said, I think it's a big surprise in the end of the scene. Even Saw Gerrera is welcome. You're part of our tribe, and we're part of yours. It's the least place likely you expect to hear it, that we all share this insanity of wanting to change the galaxy and fight the powers that be. It connects us. Even a guy who's most of the time like, I don't want to have anything to do with anyone else. And despite the phonetic similarities, he didn't come up with the name Wilmon, because this dude's name is Willimon, and then the character's name is Wilmon. But apparently, Willimon did not come up with the name Wilmon, but the young farmhand is the next critical step towards Saw big scene. And Wilmon has been shipped off to help Saw build a machine that can safely extract rhydonium. And that's what his machine does, and that's what Saw. That's what he's trying to prove to Saw. Remember, he's got this machine, and like he Saw's like, does it work? And so it's supposed to. He cuts it on, and it extracts the rhydonium. And he said, we're tracking this kid who is increasingly becoming a player in the rebellion, and we're seeing his coming of age. So over the course of this episode, you're also trying to track what occurs for Wilmon to progress him from a guy that's trying to work on this piece of engineering to actually feeling the rebellion in his bones. He said, the cherry on top here is we have Forrest Whitaker playing Saw Gerrera, a beloved character who's absolutely wackadoodle. So you have the opportunity to do something super weird and cool with all those things in mind. What do we want to do in the scene? Of course, there's an aspect that lets Forrest Whitaker gives Forrest Whitaker something juicy to do. So if you've seen a lot of Forrest Whitaker's work, he's a very eccentric dude. His characters are always a little bit weird, I'll say. And he's just really brilliant at that. Ghost Dog comes to mind. But in a really very real way, what is Saw saying to this kid? Why is he even talking to him? He's just standing there while this kid is doing his thing. I felt like we needed to activate that scene. So indeed, considering he's in the middle of a life or death mission, whether tension exists in the scene should be coming from Wilmon's tricky procurement of the rhydonium. But as Saw keeps talking, the focus shifts. It's not about whether Wilmon will steal the rhydo without dying from the exposure. It's about if Wilmon will accept the danger he's facing in this mission is the same danger that he'll face as a rebel. How much of himself is he willing to give in this case, in this cause? His sweat, his blood, his life? Revolution is not for the sane, Saw says. Look at us, unloved, hunted, cannon fodder. We'll all be dead before the Republic is back, and yet here we are. Where are you, boy? You're here. You're right here. and you're ready to fight. Breathe it in. Let it run wild. With the stupendous flourish that made it all memorable by Whitaker's triumphant oration, Wilmot inhales the very thing that he was terrified to touch a few minutes prior. And at the same time, astute fans come to discover a key piece of Saw Gerrera's backstory, why he wears that mask in Rogue One. We weren't sure if the first pass exactly what it was. But then the idea came to us. Wait a second. The answer is Forrest all along. It's been in Rogue One, but in Andor, we haven't seen him with the mask. There's an opportunity to maybe explain how you get that in Rogue One. And it feels like all of this is super intentional, like we reverse engineered it back to this moment where you get to kill several birds with one stone, which is not only do we get to have our Forrest Whitaker aria, and not only do we get to advance the story and show juxtaposition with all these prongs of the rebellion, but on top of all that, we also say this, why he's breathing into this mask in Rogue One. And it just took on a life of its own. As did Andor, a Star Wars story that's built to last. Man, Andor is Star Wars for the grown-ups, man. I've said it before. It's where we've come to. I think if you've been a Star Wars fan since you were a little kid, since it came out, if you were a kid when the first trilogy came out, like this is where the content should be. Like it's grown up with us. Andor's the shit.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Andor. So is everybody else. But that's the best Star Wars we've got from Disney Plus since its birth a couple of years back. Hopefully we'll get something else now that Andor is over. That's just as good.
So you sent me a article about a Stephen King movie.
Yes.
And they're rebooting one of the coolest Stephen King movies. Yes. Running Man.
But you know what the crazy? I never knew that was a Stephen King book. I never knew that Running Man was.
Yeah, and the movie with Arnold is hella different. I mean, it's similar.
Oh, way similar but different.
It's mad different
because
this is going to be more based on the books.
Yeah, because according to the book, well, I mean, go ahead, read the article. That way, that'd be better. Talk about.
Well, no, you can say.
The book they said.
You remember?
They're saying that the biggest difference is that in the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, it was more like a cage match. They were in a set environment, but according to the Stephen King book, he was able to run around the world, and the bounty hunters would hunt him down. And find, so he had the whole world as his playground instead of like this small arena that they put them in. And they're saying that that's going to be that's the biggest difference that the character can get, and he can also get help from, real world people to try to get away from these guys. And if he survives 30 days, then he wins like all this money and influence and everything. But he has to survive at least 30 days. So the bounty hunters have 30 days to catch him. And I guess they're going to be Josh Rowland. I forget the guy's name right there. They're all supposed to be the bounty hunters. I guess he's going to have the female is going to be with him because Arnold had a female with him in the movie, but they haven't announced who and the rest of them are going to be. But they were.
Which doesn't mean it was in the book because that's some shit Hollywood would do. We got to have a female co-star. Always got to have a female co-star with the big action star. Always. Yeah, that's Josh Brolin there. What we lose to? Oh, he muted. That's Josh Brolin there, and it says there's dozens and dozens of movies based on Stephen King's books, and it doesn't seem like the adaptations will be slowing down anytime soon. Yeah, they're getting ready to redo another Carrie, which is like the fifth Carrie. They're redoing a bunch of Stephen King stuff. They just rebooted Salem's Lot recently. I can't think of it. There's always a bunch of shit. But the protagonist of The Running Man, a new take on one of the great horror author's early works, won't be slowing down either. He's being hunted for sport on a dystopian game show. The Running Man, directed by Edgar Wright, is set to dash into theaters this November, starring Glenn Powell, the second adaptation of King's novel, which was originally published in 1981. The first movie version of the story starred Arnold Schwarzenegger and came out in 1987. The 2025 version looks to be fairly different. Here's everything you need to know about the upcoming remake of the Stephen King Running Man, and then run, don't walk to the theater. Will it be released? When will it be released? Running Man will open to theaters November 7th this year. So that's really fucking soon. Thank you for not announcing the movie 2-3 years before it comes out. I fucking hate that shit.
Now that was my biggest thing with it, Reno. I'm like, how'd they film this? Nobody said anything about it, heard anything. Just came out the blue, like boom, Running Man. I'm like, yo,
how'd they film it so quick? They just didn't tell us about it. That's all. Just like how it used to be.
That's how I like it. I like it.
Yeah, don't tell me about it. And I gotta wait 3 years, and then I fucking lose interest, and then I'm just like, fuck. And then I gotta like fiend for it. Like, I'd rather just not know what I don't know, and then just tell me a few months early, and I can get hype about it. Remember back in the day, that's how it used to be, bro. A trailer, we'd see a trailer in the movie theater like a few months, maybe 6 months before that shit came out. That would be the first iteration, and then like a couple months, yeah, and then a couple months later, you get another one, and by the time, and then it come out. A year later, that shit hit video. A year later, it hit HBO, and then another year later, it hits network TV, just like that, like clockwork. Ah, the good old days. It was originally scheduled to open on late November. A few weeks later on November 21st, but it was moved up in part so that it wouldn't be competing against Wicked for Good. Really? Oh. Jesus Christ. A Wicked sequel. Anyway, I'm sorry if you're Wicked fans. I'm sorry if I offended you, but I'm just over it. According to Deadline, this opens up the possibility that The Running Man will play on IMAX screens that would have otherwise been occupied by the Oz set musical. Yeah, I'm just not a musical guy. Like, I'm not ever gonna get that hype about a musical. I just can't. But sorry. Yeah, who's behind this thing? Edgar Wright, the beloved genre filmmaker known for movies like Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. What? So this is gonna be a comedic take on The Running Man.
Yes, it is. And that
because
is
yeah.
And also the other movies they announced that it would compete with.
Well, this is the filmmaker that does Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz and Scott Pilgrim, all sort of comedy / horror, comedy horrors, / action, right, or whatever. Scott Pilgrim is kind of different. It's not really its own thing. Video game, whatever. So he's then the guy that wrote 21 Jump Street and 22 Jump Street, and then Simon Kinberg and Nira Park join Wright as producers. So yeah, this is not going to be like anything like the novel. It's going to be its own thing. Glenn Powell, arguably the hottest rising actor, coming off the success of Top Gun Maverick, Anyone But You, and Twisters. That's this guy over here on the left. Caddy O'Brien here broke out playing a bodybuilder in Love Lies Bleeding, and who co-starred with Powell in last year's Twisters. Also, more recently, O'Brien appeared in Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning, and in Running Man, she'll play another contestant, as will Daniel Ezra, star of the CW sports dramas series All American. Josh Brolin and Lee Pace. Oh, Lee Pace, I know who he is. That's the guy that played Ronan in the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Well, Josh Brolin. Josh Brolin. I forget the guy's name. Damn, just said it. He is. That's the Hollywood heartthrob right now. Got to play the Twister. He in Top Gun. He is.
This guy here.
He's the new Hollywood heartthrob right now. So
the hottest rising actor.
Yes, all the women want to see him. He's the new how can I put it? Matt Damon or Tom Cruise or something. He's
And this dude Coleman Domingo has been in some shit recently that I've been seeing.
Domingo's been in a lot. He's been in a lot. And
he started in Fear the Walking Dead. Yeah.
And he's gay, but we still like him. We love him. He's a good actor.
Yeah, most actors are gay probably, but yeah, he's good though. He's really good. He's really good. He's doing a lot of good shit. Yeah,
I liked him. I liked him in Fear the Walking Dead. I thought he was excellent.
Yeah,
in Fear the Walking Dead.
Yeah. We got an update for the Wolverine video game from Sony. Finally, that's good. Let's see. What are they saying about the video game Wolverine? Let me present. There we go. Presenting the Wolverine video game by Sony. Fans have turned to every big video game hoping for a glimpse. Tuned into every big video game event hoping for a glimpse at Marvel's Wolverine. Yes, every time there's a video game event, an E3 or whatever, like we're hoping that they're gonna give us something. They never do. Fortunately, Sony has finally acknowledged that it even provided an update on the release date, although it wasn't the one that we wanted to hear. Marvel's Wolverine won't be released this fiscal year. Sony's business segment presentation has confirmed that both Marvel's Wolverine and Naughty Dog's upcoming title, Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophet, won't arrive this fiscal year, which lasts until March 2026. Instead, Sony's biggest releases during the next 9 months will be Sucker Punch, Productions' Ghosts of Yotai, which I can't wait for, and Kojima Productions' Death Stranding 2, which I couldn't care less about. But Sucker Punch's production of Ghosts of Yotai. So if you know Ghosts of Tsushima, same people, same kind of game.
Ghosts of Yotai.
And I love Ghosts of Tsushima.
Yeah, Ghosts of Yotai is also that's the sequel to Ghosts of Tsushima.
Right. Right.
Yeah. They had a prequel, Yotai game. It's a side scroller that you can play right now. It's pretty dope. Graphics are dope. Check it out. I forget what it's called. It's called something to Yotai. I forget the name of it. I'll have it next time we do the show. I'll have it for you. But as far as Sony is concerned, I personally think that they're gonna hold on to this Wolverine game because they just announced that they're starting to do the preliminary workings for PlayStation 6. So we know they're gonna run PlayStation 5 for at least a good maybe 7 or 8 years before they actually bring out another console. We're running up on that for PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to try to hold on to it for PlayStation 6 and make it one of the selling points as far as game-wise is concerned.
Well, it's definitely being optimized for the 5. I don't think that's going to happen because isn't that like 2028? The PlayStation 6?
8 or 9 is when we'll get it 6. We'll get it 6. Like
yeah.
29.
Well, they're talking about this Wolverine coming out. They're saying it says Sony's next big release, Ghost of Yotai. Granted, this doesn't confirm that Logan's upcoming adventure will be released in late 2026 or early 2027, as it isn't labeled under the 2026 fiscal year. A big factor to take into account was the infamous the Insomniac Games hack that took place in 2023, where they leaked all the Wolverine details. What they did was they went back and rewrote the shit because it got leaked, so that's why it basically got pushed back. But it was originally meant to be released in 2026. Chances are they're saying 2027 at the earliest. Unfortunately, not that grim. Wolverine could be the year when we see more of it. Let's see, launches 2027. So I don't know. They're saying 2027. I know the 6 is not coming out for like till 8 or 9, and they've been building it, on this engine for the 5. It was originally meant for the 5, so it would really suck if they ported a game or fucking made a game that was optimized for the 5 to come out on the 6. I hate when they do that shit. It's like when they make these PS4 games on PS5 and then act like I'm supposed to be excited about that. I want some PS5 shit that was made for a 5 that can't be played on a 4. I want some shit that can't run on a 4, motherfucker.
Well, here's the problem, Reno. Unreal Engine Unreal Engine 5 was so good
Yeah.
that nobody really, when Unreal Engine 4 came out, they didn't really push it. And then when PlayStation 5 came out, Xbox One X, they were killing Unreal Engine 4.
But you know, there's
Then they were like,
there's studios that
Unreal
have
Engine 5.
but there's studios that have their own engines that are better than Unreal 5. So
I don't know. I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I mean, depending on the game, yeah, but Unreal Engine 5 is the shit. I can't even say it ain't. But the one thing I do know is that Unreal Engine 5 is what they should have been pushing with these systems.
Look at this. They made this on their own platform. And it looks better or as good as 5 could ever look.
I mean, it does. But let's check out some
incredible
footage. Let's check out some Unreal Engine 5 footage.
Yeah, no, we know what 5 looks like. We know that. But these guys made this shit on their own. Like that impressed me that this is their own engine. But that said, apparently this game was a big letdown. Apparently it was another Cyberpunk where it was supposed to be all this and that, and then didn't turn out to be quite that or this. So I don't know. I haven't played it. I was gonna play it. I was gonna like get it, but then I started reading some shit about it, and apparently it wasn't well received, and people have really been just ragging on it just incessantly. But this is why I felt. This is why I was like, oh, I feel like this shit was gonna be amazing.
Right.
This right here.
Introducing Mind's Eye. Your story takes place in the city of Red Rock, a desert metropolis where corporate greed and political ambition are in constant friction. In a future that's closer than we think, technology takes care of almost everything, so we don't.
Of course, sir.
Artificial intelligence connects every device to one all-knowing system. But you are not part of the system. You are Jacob Diaz. What starts out as a personal quest as you step into the lead role in a conspiracy involving criminal forces, an unchecked military, and a threat so sinister it endangers the survival of humanity. You have expert skills, making you extremely valuable to some, but highly dangerous to others.
Graphics look dope. Look at that.
When we find him, I'm the one who wants him. Well, it's a better idea. Remember that girl, the hacker? Yeah. Turns out she's been holed up downtown in some kind of safe house. Can you drive?
Can you shoot?
As you're confronted with increasingly perilous situations, you must form unlikely alliances in order to survive. Your talents at the wheel will be called upon as you find yourself both the hunter and hunted.
That's dope. Man.
Dramatic new twists explode onto your screen with a variety of unique situations to solve.
Don't give up on us.
Involving protecting others.
What? Yeah, do
defending
CPR?
And even making space in the stratosphere.
These things don't have much fuel, so be careful. Precision is vital.
Your journey means you must battle your way through Red Rock's sometimes extravagant, fortified, secret, and treacherous locations. You'll have a wide array of tools and weapons to engage with. From the convention.
Dude, don't this look like the dopest shit ever made?
Yeah.
Apparently it's not. Apparently it's all bullshit. Apparently, it's the biggest scam in gaming. Like they said, it's glitchy. They said it don't play like this. It's fucked up. Like all this was a lie type shit. Like I don't know. I like the shit I've been seeing about bro. Like I've been hearing the worst. Like people just roasting it, and like it and like you remember how when Cyberpunk was, they were like talking about Cyberpunk. It was supposed to be this whole fucking immersive, epic, dystopian cyberpunk adventure like world that you, and it ended up, it came out and like dude's dicks was hanging out. Like, it was just crazy. Like it was all glitchy and shit. It was just fucked up. Yeah, it didn't work right. It was all hype. Like the developers, you know, they intended for it to be such and such, but by the time it came out, like they pushed it out before it was really ready or whatever. But I don't know. It sucks because this is a big letdown because this shit looks goddamn amazing.
It does.
You know what I mean? Like that shit looks crazy, bro. It looks, and for their own engine, it looks real. It looks realistic as fuck.
If it was me, I would have made the same game, relabeled, and said it was the birth of Major Blood.
Hell no. Yeah. The origin of blood.
Yeah. I mean, the game looks dope when you look at it. It's got some
mechanics,
elements.
Yeah, and look at that.
Gears of War mechanics, and that's dope.
Yeah.
Like he's got a little drone fighting.
Drone helps out
in the background. He's taking off.
Yeah,
landed. Like that's dope. Huh? That's like a live environment.
Right. This is supposed to be like life the game. This is like GTA 6 type shit. And they were saying like this shit was gonna make GTA 6 look like shit. Like this was gonna, this is gonna not look like shit, but like they were gonna outdo GTA 6. And based on this trailer, I believe it.
I believe it too.
Based on this, I believe it. Based on this,
GTA is undefeated.
Bro, I was heartbroken when I saw the fucking reviews and the way people are talking about this game, because after I saw this and I was like, oh my God, I went and told Blaze, I'm like, Blaze, you got to see this shit. He's like, nah. He's like, go look at this. And he put me on to some shit. And, oh man, it's not good.
Look at that.
Looks amazing. I mean, of course, this isn't gameplay here. This is all just cinematics, but the gameplay looks brilliant. The gameplay looks amazing. And there's some new mechanic, and look at that. Like, come on, bro. It's very ambitious. It's very, very ambitious.
But you studios, you guys gotta finish your projects.
It's just like Crimson Desert. They're saying that that's too good to be true. I mean, look at this. Like this shit, I can see though how it might not be what they're saying it is. Like I can see how they're taking the choicest clips and like everything looking just like, and then also but damn, that shit looks amazing.
That looks dope.
What is this? You make it? Oh shit! You can create a fucking little zone to run around in. Create your own little game.
Anyone can build their own Mindside quality missions and games. Thanks to our
use creation system. Right there, that's what I believe if people that review the game.
And that's why it's too good to be true.
It's too ambitious.
It's too ambitious.
That should be on a separate disc.
This should be its own game. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it takes away from the game and the mechanics and everything. And it's too ambitious and you're right. It should, this is literally like a little $20 add-on or $30 add-on after that. You can have this, but
a game creator? Come on. Yeah, a game creator? That's nuts. That's huge.
Simply drop anything you want anywhere you like, be it enemies, vehicles, objects, explosions. We are granting you access to our assets and the superpower to make your own games. Mind's Eye players get an all-access pass to the hidden world of game creation. At the touch of a button, you can create your own shootouts, chases, races, puzzles, and places. Literally anything. We are passionate about democratizing video game development. We invite you to join us in the innovative world of Mind's Eye. Available on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. Pre-order now.
There's no fucking way. Bro, if it was that good, we would be hearing about this game all over the place. It would be the hottest fucking thing. Motherfuckers would be talking about Mind's Eye constantly. You know what I mean? Like, it would be as hot as GTA 6. There's no way it's that dope. There's no way it does all that. And Crimson Desert. Yeah, and Crimson Desert, that's another game look out for, because that shit is wildly ambitious. The amount of mechanics, the amount of like different moves and just different shit that they're saying that this character can do, and the different things that you can do in the game. It's just like it's too many games all in one. It's like they're taking shit from all the dope games and putting it all in one. It's nuts.
Yeah, that's true. But we've had some ambitious games that have came out and they were good.
Yeah.
I mean, but we just gotta wait for some more to come out. We gotta wait for people to come out and do it right.
Yo, Game City Savior, have you played Mind's Eye? Yeah, and Ghost of Yotai, it's basically, you know, if you love Ghost of Tsushima, it's just more Ghost of Tsushima. Basically, it's a new story though. It's not. It's a sequel, but it's also not the same story. It's like it's its own. It's like another story. It's like if the same storyteller was telling another story about a guy in feudal Japan, and this is what they went through in their little story.
It's about the town of Yotai. That was on the other side, but
yeah, it's the same universe.
Yeah, same time.
Yeah,
same time period.
Yeah, Mount Yotai, 1603.
What is it? Is that Yotai right there? Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's Yotai.
I can't wait to play that, man.
Mm-hmm.
I've even went back. I'm not gonna lie, Reno. I'm only gonna say this here, and just keep between all of us here now. I actually beat Ghost of Tsushima. Like, I played through it twice. I did 2 whole playthroughs. I beat it maybe 3 or 4 times from my save point, but I did. If you go back and you play that game, and you get like different armor sets, like you could mix everything up. Like it's dope. Like you can actually play that game like a few times through and do something different. Maybe, in my opinion, maybe 4 or 5 times you can do something different. Like like build a whole different character.
All right. Yeah.
And I saw people
very
it,
open.
so I went back and did it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was dope.
Mm-hmm. And this one, the main character is a female, and you know, it looks pretty much the same as Ghost of Tsushima as far as I can tell. Graphics wise, it's pretty much the same.
Yeah, it is. Ghost of Tsushima was wildly successful.
Yes.
So Yotai is another village or section that went through the same thing that Tsushima went through when all of this was happening. So you had the Ghost of Tsushima, and then you have the Ghost of Yotai.
Check this out.
The game will have multiple weapon types like dual katanas, a kusarigama, an odashi, a rifle, and a yari spear. And seems like we can get access to some of these weapons by taking out members of the Yote Six, a band of outlaws who took Etsu, her family, at a young age and pinned her to a tree with her father's katana. Now, 16 years after that incident, she's back in the Esso region with her father's katana and wants her revenge. We also learned that armor dice, but also charms, saddles, and sword kits are back in the game. In some locations, like her old home, you can switch to a younger version of Etsu to relive her memories. Other activities include some returning ones, like the platforming shrines, and yes, bathing in an onsen, but also brand new ones, like Sumi-e painting we saw in Shadows, and finding statues to upgrade your skills. 5 new details about...
Yeah. So, a couple new things, couple same things.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll definitely take it. Only, like I said, if they do it just as good as they did the last one and make some improvements to just a few things a little too, I'll have another.
Okay, games. He said he doesn't like just gun games. It's just guns. No martial arts or hand-to-hand combat. No melee weapons. Just guns. So, Game City Savior hasn't played Mind's Eye. But yeah, I've heard terrible things. But to me it looks dope. But I think that pretty much does it for us, guys. We did the damn thing. We chopped it all the way up. We have another great show in store for you guys this coming Wednesday, and we're here every Wednesday and every Saturday at 7 p.m. But we're going to talk about Ironheart episodes 1 through 3 next Wednesday, and whatever other cool shit that comes about between now and then, as we always do. But guys, always remember,
be water, my friend.
See you guys then. Peace.
Be water, my friend.